Okay, what's going on, LBHT crew B? What is going on?
Whole lot of people doing allegedly bad things is going on.
Everybody except our O-lines. Because it's great news for the Ravens and Panthers O-line. Great news.
That's right.
You turned your volume up, I see.
I did turn my volume up.
Yeah. That's one thing we got to kind of get used to. It kind of messes with our volumes on its own, but we'll work it out. We're in a new setup here, but we are learning all the little quirks it has and how to resolve them. So, anywho, it is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Hope your week is going well, but if not, hopefully it gets better starting right now. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
Wow, great news for Drew Holiday too. I just saw he just signed a 4-year, $135 million extension with Boston.
Whoo!
Yeah,
Congrats to him. Good for him. He's always been a good to solid player, solid to good player. You know, sometimes very good, quality NBA player, and congrats to him. And in terms of NBA, he is worth it.
Yeah,
I know people hear those contracts sometimes. You know, if you only watch football, you're just like, what did he do? Is he a superstar? You don't have to be a superstar to make that kind of money in NBA.
no.
So congrats. Okay, see, we're off on a good note. Okay, because it gets a little worse. It gets a lot worse. All right, who is here? We got Jeremy Miller in the house. Says, hey everybody. Hey Jeremy, what's going on? Bazel in the house says, Taurus life in full effect. Salute to my fellow Taurus right there. Yes. We got Urban in the house. Says, yo, Coach sent me. Indeed. Shout out to Coach Evans and Chris Just Joking. They just finished a live stream over there on Sip2 Tally. All right. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Alfonso Richardson says, May 14 here. Okay. May 13 right here. That's right. That's right. Salute to you. Bazel says his is on 29th, April 29th. Okay. All right. Tauruses are making a strong push. Indeed. All right. Look, Noah in the house. What's up, Noah? What's going on? Says hello, LBHT crew. Hello, Noah. Shout out to you. Just Aloe says LGHT crew. He meant LBHT crew. That's okay, man. It's all right. The B and the G are right there on the keyboard next to each other. Okay, it's not your fault. All right, LBHT crew. I hope everyone is doing great. The better wide receiver draft, the more likely there will be a run on wide receivers. Absolutely, because that's exactly what happened when we got Devin Duvernay. Mm-hmm. People remember we got Devin Duvernay in the third round. They don't remember that he was like the 18th wide receiver picked.
Yeah, when you have a deep class or a great class, it doesn't mean there's going to be guys available in the 6th or 7th. It just means that a lot of those players are going to go early.
Yeah. So. Shaheen, salute. Says, what's good, fellas? What's good with you, Shaheen? Thanks for coming through. And my bad, Baza. I did not properly introduce you. He is first again. Okay. He is first again. My bad. Shout out to you. Yolanda in the house. Ravens Talk with Yolanda is the channel. It's rapidly growing. Okay. Make sure you're a part of that crew as well. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. She just did a live stream last night. It's dope. All right. Let's see. Alfonso, I got you already. Okay. So we're in that little part of the season where things are going to be quiet down for the most part. Nobody's going to make any major moves. We got a couple of things to talk about, but we're going to talk about what our teams, what the Ravens have been saying. Okay. What our head coach has been saying, what other people have been saying about our teams, in particular our offensive line. All right. And we're going to talk about what our teams need for the draft. And we got some other news as well. It's not looking good for my fantasy football team, I'll tell you that. All right. Osmond, what's going on? Says hello, Jose, Brodny, and all chat.
What's up,
Yes,
Osmond?
indeed. Killer showing up. Says hola, Jose, and mucho gusto, Brodny.
What's up, Cam?
Shout out to Killer, man. Shout out to Killer. Zeke Hokage in the house. Says Jose and Brodny, what's good, unks, and everyone. All right. I think we got everybody. I think we got everybody. Look, it's always when we think there's not a whole lot to talk about where we have our longest streams. And this might be another one because we might have another guest tonight. Okay, depending on his schedule. All right. You guys enjoyed the debate last time he was on here. Our guy Sonny from SDG Sports. All right, he might come through later on, and we might have another round of debates. So stay tuned for that because that show turned into like a 3-hour show. All right.
Yeah, that's not happening again.
It's not happening this time. It's not happening this time. Okay, but we'll put aside some time so we can discuss all things Ravens with him. So it's gonna be a packed show, is what I'm trying to tell you. All right. Yeah. So let's get this thing started. But first, we like to start every show with a Black History fact, and B and Nicole have a Black History fact for you.
Welcome to this week's Black History Fact. Billie Holiday, born Eleanora Fagan, was a legendary American jazz singer and songwriter. She was born on April 7, 1915, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and faced a challenging upbringing marked by poverty and early exposure to hardship. Despite these difficulties, Holiday discovered her passion for music and began singing in Harlem nightclubs in the 1930s. Her unique voice, characterized by its emotional depth and soulful delivery, quickly garnered attention. Holiday's career took off when she joined Count Basie's orchestra in 1937, followed by her iconic collaborations with jazz greats like Lester Young and Teddy Wilson. Her signature songs like Strange Fruit, God Bless the Child, and Lover Man became timeless classics, showcasing her unparalleled talent for conveying intense emotions through music. Holiday's life was marred by personal struggles, including abusive relationships, substance abuse, and encounters with racism. Her music reflected her experiences, adding layers of authenticity and raw emotion to her performances. Despite facing discrimination and legal troubles, she continued to captivate audiences with her powerful voice and captivating stage presence. In 1947, Holiday was arrested on drug charges, leading to a brief prison sentence and a temporary setback in her career. However, she made a triumphant comeback and continued to record and perform until her untimely death at 44 in 1959. Holiday's legacy endures through her groundbreaking contributions to jazz and her influence on generations of musicians. She remains an icon of resilience, artistic innovation, and the enduring power of music to transcend adversity.
All right. Salute to Billie Holiday. All right. We got a couple more people in here. Salute to Hendo from the Roll Pod. Says, good evening. I see EDC brought out the magnifying glass to start cooking.
That's not nice.
Shout out to our guy, Jared Green. Says, salute, brother. Salute to Jared Green. Southern Baller Show is the name of his show. Okay. Jared Green 011. Jared 011 Green is the channel. All right. Make sure you go and hit that subscribe button. He just did an interview with a guy that we admire, Emory Hunt. Okay. Dope interview. Okay. Make sure you guys go over there and check it out. All right. If you ever hear us say the phrase size is not a skill, that's where we got it from. We got it from Emory Hunt. All right. Filthy is in the house. He says, will Derrick Henry end up being the biggest signing for the Ravens this upcoming year / offseason? I'm starting to think so. We're going to discuss it, Filthy. We're going to discuss it.
He has to be at this point. There's no other signing possible that could be bigger than Derrick Henry at this point. Like, they might bring somebody in via trade or something like that, but there's nobody available.
Oh, technically, yeah. Signing. Yeah, you're right. Shout out to our one fan on Twitch, Suge Knight 323, Suge Knight 1323. He says, "Yo, what's going on, Suge?" Thanks for coming through. Zeke says, "Great history fact." Thank you, and thank B and Nicole. Okay. And Coach Evans says, "Coach sent me." What's going on, Coach? Ravenville said, "Coach sent him as well." Salute, Ravenville. Thanks for coming through. All right. So, I mean, do we want to start there?
Jump into the NFL talk.
We want to get into the great news.
Yeah, let's get some great news.
Let's go. Great news for Ravens and Panthers O-line. B, do you want to share the good news for them?
Well, no. I think before we get to the great news for the O-line, y'all just signed former All-Pro Deontay Hardy.
Wow.
If you don't know who that is, it would be understandable. He's a wide receiver. He played for the Buffalo Bills last year. He played for the Saints for a few years prior to that. Primarily a return man, but a very good returner.
Yes,
and he's going to be kind of taking the place of Devin Duvernay. It looks like. I don't think that there's much to be excited for in terms of a contribution at receiver. He had an okay year a few years ago in New Orleans, about 570 yards, 3 touchdowns, but that was by far the height of his career. He had about 150 yards last year in Buffalo. But yeah, with the rule changes, there's going to be a lot more kick returns, and I thought that Baltimore should have just brought back Devin Duvernay. It looks like maybe they're sort of agreeing there that they needed that return specialist, and they went out and they got one today.
Hey, they let one All-Pro go and picked up another one.
That's right.
And even before the rule change, I put a slightly more value on the return game than you did. I think just slightly more, just because we've always leaned towards the defense, and field position is big, for us. And Devin Duvernay helped with that a lot, right?
A little.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it in context, right? Like for a return, like as much as you can in the return game, he did it more than the average.
Yeah. But coming up next year with the rule changes, he's going to be able to affect the game a lot more. Yeah. So I thought that they should have brought him back, but they've got their replacement is Deontay Hardy. Moving on to the great news for the Baltimore O-line. Now this, I don't have the tweet of who tweeted this out. Let me see if I can pull it up here really quickly. These are O-line predictions, essentially, pass protection predictions for next season, based off of the current depth chart that you see on ourlads.com, which is just a site that kind of keeps depth charts up to date throughout the offseason and everything. So they went through and they kind of rated everyone's projected starters in pass protection, and they ranked the O-lines
from the NFL. Ben Baldwin is a tweet. Yes. Ben B. Baldwin, Computer Cowboys is his little tag name. Ben B. Baldwin. He tweeted it out.
So they went ahead and they predicted the top O-lines for next season. They did all 32, but I cropped it into the top 10. And look who we have right near the top.
What?
We got the Detroit Lions. They're number 1. I think that's not a surprise to anybody. You got the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of great and some bad, some very bad there. The Colts, and then coming in at number 4, your own Baltimore Ravens. Now, this is a projected starting lineup of Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Tyler Linderbaum, Ben Cleveland, and Pat McCarry at right tackle. And according to their predictions, they're going to be the 4th best O-line in the league. I told you I wanted to go ahead and just rip this apart as not accurate at all. But then I looked at number 5. And number 5, the Carolina Panthers. So I know this dude did good work.
It's true. That validated his work right there. Now, I want to know from the chat. I mean, they're already starting to put their
Oh,
they're starting to put their reactions in there. I want to know, how do you feel about this?
Just Al says, I don't do drugs, but when I do whatever that guy is smoking. That's not nice, just Al.
Wait, be serious.
Nice.
Be serious, guys. We're being serious here. This is great news. Coach says blasphemy.
Daniel Franklin, he got a good laugh out of that. Said, sure. Okay. Well, look, obviously, it's difficult to kind of predict what Andrew Voorhees would do in the starting lineup since he hasn't played in the NFL. So my assumption there is that they're kind of just going off of similar players in the past, younger players who were drafted late, making their first starts and things like that. Ben Cleveland at a 92. Little bit of issue with that. Not sure where that's coming from, because I can totally get on board. I mean, look, Pat McCarry, he's a decent player.
Yes.
He's a valuable O lineman because he can play anywhere along the line. He's a good guy to have on the team. So I wouldn't even argue too much with Pat having a decent grade out on the right side. I don't think he's that good, but whatever. Ben Cleveland, I mean, you gotta show me something before you get into that elite territory, right?
Yeah. This is the downside of analytics, right? Because Ivy Sand says, when was that report released? April 1st. That's the downside of analytics. I guess you can look at the few snaps that Ben Cleveland had and say he graded well. But I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if he graded that well, if you chart all his snaps. I mean, I'll have to refer to Coach on that, Coach Evans. I trust Coach Evans' breakdown a lot more than anybody else's. I'm just gonna be real. Coach Evans, Sip to Tally Films. You have to subscribe, okay? Coach, before we actually started working with Coach, we will always refer Coach's work on the show. Okay, that's how much we believe in his analysis and his breakdown of stuff. He goes through the process with you. You can, even though he's an expert, he can break it down to you so you can, in a way you can understand it. You can look at it and see what he's seeing, and you can see how it plays out. And Ben Cleveland, even though he kind of likes Ben Cleveland ain't that. Okay.
Right. And it could be a situation where you're looking and you're saying, hey, he hasn't been good enough up until this point, but he's coming into his third or fourth year. And a lot of O-linemen take a few years to really get acclimated to the NFL and become what they were going to be, right? It could be a Ben Powers situation. Nobody really believed in Ben Powers coming into his last year in Baltimore, but then he went out and he played pretty well. But the problem for Baltimore, and the problem that I have with this ranking in particular, is though that's again three pretty big ifs. If Ben Cleveland can take that step, if Pat McCarry can hold up for a whole season as a starting right tackle, if they're not projecting Andrew Voorhees to do much of anything here, but if Andrew Voorhees can be playable in that left guard spot.
Well, they're expecting him to play better than the Eagles' right guard.
Mm-hmm. And
right?
center.
Yeah. So I mean, that's still a big if.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he's healthy, which that's a big if. Even if he's healthy, he's a 7th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't project him to be better than any starter in the league.
Right.
Not project him. Could he be? Could I feel like he could be? Might I have a good feeling about him? Sure. I'm not projecting him to be better than any of those guys.
Right. But if you look down one spot lower, the Carolina Panthers with a very believable projection of being the 5th best O-line in the league. But listen, Carolina, they made it a focus this offseason to go out and improve that line. Taylor Moton on the right side, Robert Hunt now on the right side, left guard Damian Lewis, left tackle Ekwonu. At center, right now they're looking at Austin Corbett, which
what's up, Tom?
He's a good player, but coming off some bad injuries, so we'll see there. I'm kind of hoping that they will address that center position in the draft as well. But they're looking to be a much improved O-line this year. So I'm not going to project them to be 5th best O-line in the league, but I think they should be much, much better than they were last season.
Well, yeah, because Taylor Moton was hurt last year, wasn't he?
Well, no, I mean he played. He just wasn't great.
He wasn't great.
I mean, he was okay. He was fine, but the O-line was in shambles all year long.
He has
They
a
played,
really
I don't
high.
know how many different combinations of starting O-lines they played last year, but it was a lot.
I'm interested to see how they come up with these grades, because Taylor Moton, a couple years ago, yes, if you just said 92, he played like it, for sure. Last year he didn't play like that. So where do they get the 92 rating? Right guard Robert Hunt, is that who they have projected at right guard? He's really good. Center Austin Corbett, I don't know how you can give him a 78. He hasn't played center yet.
Well, he's played a little bit, but that's kind of a Ben Cleveland situation there. You don't have a whole lot to go on, but at least with Austin Corbett, he has been a good starting guard.
Yes.
And he's played a little bit of center. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's still a lot of projection there, but at least you have good play previously to go off of.
Yeah. And left guard Damian Lewis, 65. But Iggy Ekwonu has not played to a 68 level yet.
I would disagree, man. I think because we're just talking about pass protection here, right? Now, there's times when guys just kind of run around him, but a lot of his bad play, a lot of it came in the run game too, and a lot of it came from just committing multiple stupid penalties. So it was, like I said, it was an overall performance that gave you what you saw out of him last season. A 68 is very believable. I expect him to bounce back from that performance last year as well. But obviously right now, kind of the weakest link, or the biggest concern, at least, on the Panthers O-line.
Well, the good news about this chart is it gives us a chance to have a conversation about our O-lines for our respective teams, right? The Panthers, I mean, like I said, like you obviously got to take this thing with a grain of salt. But we obviously they put in the work to improve the O-line this offseason. And as bad as Ekwonu looked last year, like the whole O-line did look terrible. You want to make sure your number one draft pick, can play or can't play. So putting him back out there and seeing what he can do is the right move. And hopefully that works out. But even if it doesn't, the rest of the O-line looks solid, at least, right?
Yeah.
At least. And, they can be pretty good. So that's great news for Bryce Young. That's great news, because he took a beating last year. Now the Ravens, I mean, listen, Ravens flock, listen, Ravens fans, okay? We told you there's great news, okay? We came in here with a positive attitude because you guys say we're negative, all right? And this isn't our reporting. We're just showing what was reported out there, and you guys laugh.
we didn't even touch the 91.
What's up, tough puppy?
The 91 at left tackle for you with Ronnie Stanley, which is a little optimistic considering how the last couple of years have gone. But one thing I do want to point out for Ravens fans and for Panthers fans, this is just the top 10. But you notice Baltimore has to contend with a couple other top 10 lines in their own division, in the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals at 6 and 7. I don't see nobody else from the NFC South in there. Okay. The march to division championship starts today, my friend.
Yeah.
For those interested, I know that we don't have any actual Steelers fans who watch this show, but they actually came in 31st. Not very high on your O-line, Ben Baldwin.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Osmond says this is just a plant, so EDC can say we were ranked high, so we didn't have to improve the O-line much. Well, he said at one of those interviews last week, one of the press conferences, that they spent like a whole 8 hours studying tape on offensive linemen in this coming draft. B.
Yeah, a whole 8.
So, yeah.
That covered the whole country, or
well, not. I don't think it was 8 hours. I think he said, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's not 8 hours, and I'm pretty sure they took lunch and and other breaks in between that. So I don't believe you, EDC. Another lie. Let's see. Damn, y'all got new graphics since I've been here last. Tough puppy, man, you've been gone for a while. Yeah. But yeah.
Welcome back, Tough.
Welcome back, man. Good to see you. Urban says unflocking believable. Man, y'all are funny, man. 75 people in here. Hit that like button. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. We are trying to reach 2,000 subscribers. I think we're around 100, maybe just a little over 100 away. So let's make that happen. All right. Look, if you like what we have here, man, we got some more in store for you. So make sure you stay locked in, tell your friends about us. And we're going to do something about this over here. That light, that blinding light from the stadium is covering up the words, It says, it says, don't forget to like and subscribe before it says support the show. Okay. You can support by going to patreon.com/LBHT Show. As little as $5 a month. It is well worth it. Okay. If you like what you're seeing here so far, we do another show right after this show called the Overtime Show. All right. Where we kind of brought in our sports talk and whatever else we want to talk about, whatever is hot out there, whatever you guys want to talk about, we discuss it on the Overtime Show. So make sure you subscribe. $5. I know you got it. I know you got 10. Some of y'all got 20. Just saying. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now. Okay. No. So to wrap this up, don't buy into this. Okay. Don't buy into this.
I am all in.
Yes, you. I mean, but you don't need a chart to tell you that the Panthers greatly improved their O-line.
Nope, but I got one now.
Yeah,
so top 5, baby.
But to have a grade like that, to have a ranking like that, and just project guys as starters, when the Ravens don't even project some of those guys as starters.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Voorhees.
It is. It's a lot.
I mean, you just threw a random number out there for Voorhees.
Hey, you know what? To be fair to them, I'm sure it was not random. I'm sure they've got their process, their algorithm that they use, but it's not. It's 100% projection with Voorhees. You've got nothing to go on with him.
Now,
not really.
Now, I'll say this. Trying to keep it a little bit positive. Hey, that's my guy Shang, Film Gorilla. What's going on? First time watching a live show. Hey,
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Shout out to Shang and everybody subscribe. I'm not doing anything else until you guys subscribe to Film Gorilla. We're gonna sit here in silence until you subscribe. He just put out a short film, and everybody needs to find out what happens to Jesse Lee next. Okay, subscribe to Film Gorilla. He's the reason why I'm here doing the show tonight. Okay, he covered a late shift for me. All right, so yes, thank you, appreciate you. Subscribe right now. All right, we're not doing anything else. Subscribe.
Drop the link in the chat.
Film Gorilla, like it says right there. Oh, yeah, drop the link too. All right. But no, man, I don't like maybe Ben Cleveland, right? Like I have some hopes for Ben Cleveland. We drafted him in the 3rd round. He didn't look terrible.
Thank you, Jared.
Right? Oh, salute, Jared. Thank you. He didn't look terrible. At times, I think, when coach was breaking down this film, he saw something to work with. He could be that player that you always talk about. Offensive linemen take time to develop. Mm-hmm. And it could be a situation with Ben Cleveland. He just needed a little bit more time to develop. And he could go in there and be a good starting right guard, right? If the Ravens say Ben Cleveland's our guy, I can accept that and have some faith that he could be a solid starter right there. I can accept that. I can't accept Voorhees if he's going out there day one being our starter.
I can't accept Voorhees, and I can't accept the Ravens being a top 5 O-line with Voorhees and McCarty. And because and even Ronnie Stanley at this point.
Yeah.
Right. No longer an elite tackle. I mean, he has to go out there and prove it again at this point. It's been a few years, and granted, it's mostly injury, and I think that his injuries were mismanaged by the team.
Yes,
but it is what it is. He has not played up to that level in a while. So if you're telling me that Ronnie Stanley's a starter and Andrew Voorhees is starting next to him, that's a pretty weak left side. It sounds like. And then, on the right side, you got a first-time starter in Ben Cleveland and Pat McCarry. I'm not gonna buy that as a top 5 O-line today in April.
The thing about Voorhees, I can't believe we're talking about a 7th round pick so much. The thing about Voorhees is, even if he can play, he doesn't have his NFL legs yet.
Yeah.
Right? They will demolish him on that side. They will stack that side every time. What are you gonna do? You already have Stanley on a pitch count, right? Like, he can only play with so many snaps because you want to make sure you're managing his injury the right way this time. And that's another thing. We're hoping that he stays healthy, because I still believe if he's healthy throughout the year, you're going to see more of the good old Ronnie Stanley, right? Yes, I just don't think he was healthy at any point last year, and he was just fighting through. Oh, well, I don't need to think. I know he wasn't, because John Harbaugh said it.
Yeah.
He said it, that they were managing his injury and he was fighting through a lot of things. But this is what happens when you don't invest in your O-line, right? I mean, what happened to, what's his name, Juwan?
Well, I mean, Juwan James was hurt for 3 straight years prior to coming to Baltimore. I don't know why they thought it was going to be different when he got here.
Yeah, didn't take a snap, but he was still hurt. No surgeries for Stanley this offseason. Yes. What's up, Big Reg? Thanks for coming through. So, yeah, I mean, there's a scenario where, okay, Ben Cleveland could be good, Ronnie Stanley could be healthy, he could be fine. Obviously, Tyler Linderbaum is good, right? Right tackle, I mean, McCarry, they have McCarry predicted at right tackle. He's solid. The O-line could be okay, but that's not good planning.
Yeah.
Right?
And McCarry's a solid spot starter, not a solid 17 game guy. But individually, each one of those things could happen. But again, it's just like a few years ago, letting the young guys cook in the wide receiver room. Yeah, individually, you could make an argument for any one of those guys, saying, hey, they could be contributors this year. But you're not going to get all of them. Like, the odds of everything that you're hoping for panning out are astronomical. And like I said, it's poor planning to say, hey, you know what? We've got 3 guys on our starting O-line, or 3 guys on our O-line who we don't really know what we're going to get from them, but we're hoping for the best.
Right. And if you believe that's okay to do that, why don't you apply that same philosophy to the defensive side?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we say, hey, we don't need Matabike, man. We got the young guys behind him that can cook, that have played well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, nobody thinks Travis Jones sucks. Nobody thinks Broderick Washington sucks. Nobody thinks Michael Pierce sucks. Right? So it's much easier to believe that the defensive line will be fine letting Matabike walk than the O-line is going to be fine just because EDC going to cook. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it is.
All right. What we got next?
Do you want to talk about your boy?
Who?
Boy, currently on the run.
Okay. So now to the most important team near and dear to my heart, my fantasy football team. Bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. One of my star wide receivers, Rashee Rice, has been enthralled in some legal issues this offseason, and it doesn't seem to be getting better.
I put on the wrong one. Hang on.
Okay, well, that's all right. I'll filibuster. I'll filibuster. Yes, thank you, Jared. Film Gorilla, Shang, if you're still in the chat, post your link in the chat. Okay. You subscribe to another channel. You know what? I'll find the link and I'll put it in the description. And I'll try to drop it in the chat as well. But yeah. Rashee Rice, okay. All he was doing, look, he was just trying to have a little fun. Okay. Like, I drive down 29 going back home all the time, right? From coming from Virginia, dropping my daughter off, right? And driving up 29, there's always guys racing down there. Okay? There's always a part of 29 where, it's a green car and then like a red car, they'll kind of pull up, by me, and then they zip by me, right? They do that all the time. They do it all the time. I can, we live right off of 29, so sometimes I can hear them, speeding. They're having fun. That's all it was. But they're driving reckless. They crashed. I get it. Okay. It was stupid. All right. It was reckless, but there were minor injuries. It was even dumber to run away. Okay. That was stupid. All right. So, you got to pay the consequence for that. But here we are.
It's unbelievably stupid.
It is.
Considering, one, there are racetracks where you can go and race if you want to do that. Mm-hmm. And especially considering what happened to it, or well, not to, but what happened with another young wide receiver just a couple years ago in Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is in prison. Henry Ruggs is not playing in the NFL again. Henry Ruggs killed somebody.
Yeah. He was drinking too, though, wasn't he?
I don't remember if he was.
He was drinking and he was.
But we also don't know that Rashee Rice wasn't.
True.
Because he ran.
Yes. The running part, okay, stupid. We can sit there and be like, stupid. You're gonna get suspended, whatever. But like, you haven't turned yourself in yet. The last I read was he was working with authorities. So
yeah, they were cooperating, and they said they were expecting this warrant. So I mean, he's gonna. Okay. I'm joking with the fugitive thing. He's gonna go and turn himself in. But now the question is, it's 8 different counts, and so the question is going to be essentially how long is he going to be suspended? Because I don't really think he's going to jail. He said they were all minor injuries, so I would imagine he avoids prison altogether, or jail altogether. And it's going to be what kind of punishment does he get from the NFL? But to be honest, if you want a more in-depth analysis of the charges, you're gonna have to head over to Ravens Talk with Yolanda.
Oh, is she breaking it down?
Well, I would.
Or are you just putting her on the spot?
I'm saying she should be.
Oh, okay. Shane, I gotta find your channel.
Coach put it in there.
Oh, thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Yolanda would be the perfect person to break that down. Now, okay. Last week, right, when he was working with authorities, we were saying probably a 4-game suspension, right? Now that he, there's a warrant out for his arrest. He's a fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
Does that add to it, or is it still the same?
I think that's, right now it's a big headline and people are going to talk about it. But by the time the NFL takes their time with this kind of stuff, and by the time they actually hand down a suspension, this story or this headline won't matter. It's just going to be a matter of, if anything else comes out, if it comes out that he was drinking, if he did have anything in the car that he wasn't supposed to have, anything like that, that would increase the suspension.
They found some weed. They found
that could have been anybody's. He wasn't even there.
That's true. And yes, Tough Puppy says, Rashee Rice your guy? Yes, he's my guy. He's my number 1 wide receiver in our Dynasty Football League. And I had a very good season. Yeah. Okay. I need another wide receiver.
And now you got Lamar Jackson, and just like the real one, you can't have
I got no wide receivers.
So.
I had to settle on a rookie.
That's right.
All that work to trade for Lamar Jackson just for Rashee Rice to foil my plans. Now, okay, speaking of draft, I mean, we already kind of assumed that the Chiefs were going to go wide receiver with the first pick. Does this kind of solidify that?
Yeah, I think they were going to do it anyway, but absolutely at this point, and it's a deep receiver class. There's no chance, I don't think, that they pass up on them.
Okay, Jeremy's saying
they're gonna get Tyreek Part 2 and Xavier Worthy.
All right, what news, Jeremy?
Former NFL player Terrell Suggs was arrested Tuesday in Scottsdale, Arizona, on 2 charges a month after a dispute in a Starbucks drive-thru line led to Suggs sticking a gun out of his window, according to police records.
Ooh. Now, okay, that's not the video I saw. I saw a video of somebody pulling around. I don't think it was it was a Starbucks. He was pulling around the drive-thru. He argued with the guy when he was ordering the food, and then he pulled her alongside the other car and stuck his gun out at the guy, at the person at the window. I don't think that was Terrell Suggs though. He didn't look anywhere near as big as Terrell Suggs.
I
Terrell
heard
Suggs.
no. I mean, that's what this says. This is ESPN NFL.
That was
and
him?
was him. Yeah, I mean, the NFL players they drop weight real fast after they quit.
The video I saw, like there was a car that was pulling up to get their food, and then another car pulled up around them and pulled his gun out and stuck it. It was pointing at the person in the window. Man, I was like, sheesh, man, it ain't that serious, man. Just some fries. But come on, Suggs. You know what Suggs needs to do? Suggs needs to stay out of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Stop breaking the law.
Yeah, stay out Arizona.
You know what he needs to do? He needs to go to therapy because he's a very violent person.
Because he got arrested before, not too long ago. Well, I mean, it's probably been some time now. I'm old. Time is a blur. But he got arrested for drunk driving. You remember that? Because they showed the police footage of that. Yes. I mean, what are you doing? Nothing is that serious that you have to pull out a gun on a fast food worker.
Right.
He couldn't have said anything serious enough for you to pull out a gun on a fast food worker. It's one thing, I mean, look, they can get disrespectful sometimes. All right, it gets heated, right? But he's whatever. You're wealthy. You're an NFL legend. You're a Super Bowl champion. All right, and he's having a bad day at Starbucks. Let it go, man.
Right.
And you're a grown up.
That's why I said that Terrell Suggs needs therapy because he can't let it go.
I said large fries. No, this is Starbucks. Okay.
I said venti.
I said macchiato. Macchiato.
Yeah, I just a lot of stupidity running around the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, sports in general. This is not NFL related, but Ben McLemore. I don't know if you saw the former NBA player was just arrested on charges of first-degree rape.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I heard we're not allowed to say that word on YouTube. So
okay, well, my bad.
Yeah, demonetized. Oh, wow. Okay, we lost our 15 cents. Whatever. Yeah, man. Well, I guess in comparison, the Rashee Rice stuff is not a big deal.
Well, luckily, I mean,
yeah.
What you're worried about is the decision making less than the outcome at this point. Because thankfully everybody was okay, except that 4-year-old. He left him to die. But it's the decision making that led you to say, hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go race on a crowded highway today.
Just Allo has a story. It says Suggs, and it's a true story. Suggs tried to hit on a friend of mine. She said he was too ugly for her. Well, I mean,
teach their own.
it's true. He looks like the Predator.
She was probably too broke for him too afterwards, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
I don't know.
Oh man. What are we going to next? Okay, so look, hold on. We got we standing strong at 75. We got about 30 over on Twitter/X, and Sugar standing tall over on Twitch. I think we got a few people over there on Facebook as well. Okay, if I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the show. All right, we put this on your favorite audio podcast platform: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Really appreciate it. If you listen to podcasts, you follow us, give us a 5-star review, share it out with your friends. We're trying to, grow on that side as well. That's how we started initially. We weren't on YouTube. We were just strictly podcast, and we came over to YouTube. We were trying to manage both. We want to pick that side of it back up. We experienced a little growth. We want to keep that going. Okay. Okay. What we got next?
I think we're going to the court of public opinion next. Unless there's something else you want to talk about first.
No. Okay. So court of public opinion. All right. If you're new here. Oh, by the way, anybody that's in the chat, you guys know, we do a point system here. So if you're participating in the chat, you get points. Donating, you get points. All right. Sign up to Patreon, patreon.com/LBHT Show. You get points. Going to our website, LBHTShow.com. You sign up to our newsletter. We'll get you 1,000 points. These points get you prizes at the end of the month. All right. The person with the most points gets a prize. The person that wins our drawing gets a $25 Amazon gift card, and you qualify by getting 1,000 points. Urban, you don't even know who's on trial yet. Well, he might. It's in the description. It's in the description. All
Guarantee
right.
you he didn't read it.
All right. Let's bring it up. Bring up the court. Court is in session. All right. Court is now in session. All rise. Okay, go ahead and sit. All right. LT, that stands for LaDanian Tomlison. LaDanian Tomlison. Yeah, LaDanian Tomlison is one of my favorite players of all time. I have Ed Reed, Charles Woodson, LaDanian Tomlison. Okay. It might change later on, but those are some of my favorite. This is back when I used to root for the Raiders. I used to root for the Oakland Raiders, and our dad is a San Diego Chargers fan, so we watched a lot of Chargers games growing up. I loved watching LT play. He could do it all. I loved his game.
One of the best to ever do it.
Yes, LT had played on some very good teams. He played with Drew Brees. He played with Phillip Rivers for a good chunk of his career. And they had some good teams, but they always fell short. Mm-hmm. In one particular year, was that the 14-2 year?
Probably.
They were up big on the Patriots, and they blew it. And LT went on the pivot, and he discussed it with the crew, with Channing Crowder, with Ryan Clark and Fred Taylor, discussing that. And he had some very strong allegations versus one, Cam Cameron. Now, I know that's why Urban said guilty, because he heard Cam Cameron. He's like, nope, throw him back in the dungeon. Okay, but let's hear the allegations. Do you have it? You want me to play it?
A little deeper into that, okay?
Yeah, like
okay.
You went from Marty.
We've had time to process it and think about certain things.
You went from Marty to North Turner.
But remember, who's the offense coordinator? You guys remember at that time? Cam Cameron.
Oh, don't say that.
Did he not get what job did he get right after we lost?
He came and be my head coach, and that is terrible.
So in my mind, did we just throw the game for a head coaching job?
Ooh.
Did we just?
So you say let's finish now. If we lose now, I get to go take my interviews. I get to go take a job.
You play football a certain way. If you're up by 11, or if you're up in the second half, Freddie T, what we doing?
Tote that thing.
We tutting that thing.
Yep.
How do I not get the ball?
Lorenzo said, Neal said that if you'd have got it more in the second half, y'all win the game.
And that's why I said we have all had a chance to think about this stuff, process it, and the fact that, someone gets it right after we lose. Guys, I appreciate everything. You guys play hard for me. I'm going to take this Miami job. What? Well,
okay. This is by the way why I love that show, and I love the athlete media, right? The athlete based media, what Draymond Green calls new media, but athletes being candid with other athletes, because that's something that no professional, right? Stephen A. Smith can't get that out of LT.
Yeah.
Right. Any other, person that thinks they're cool, Josina Anderson can't get that LT. And I think Josina Anderson does an excellent job. I think players trust her, but they would never be that candid with her. Not on record. Right. I think they tell her a lot of stuff off record because, she doesn't spill anything, but on record, you don't see that unless you're in a setting like that, because it's a brotherhood, right? They trust them, and they're not going to sit there and turn around tomorrow and bash them over what they said, because they understand they're coming from the same place, right? Now, with that being said, How do you feel about that, B? Do you think Cam Cameron could have thrown the game so he can go get that job?
I think that I don't want to say that he would have thrown the game, right? I don't want to say that he was thinking about the Miami job in the middle of what should have been a Super Bowl run, right? But there is a reason that the NFL changed the rules to allow assistant coaches to interview and accept those jobs while they're still playing, right? It was a problem for those guys.
Mhm.
Guys would get to the Super Bowl and then get frozen out of head coaching jobs because every position was filled because teams don't want to wait. But having said that, we watch a lot of Baltimore Ravens here, and we've seen teams just forget that running is legal in the playoffs. and Cam Cameron was not a good coach.
He wasn't.
Right? So he proved that when he went to Miami. You heard Channing Crowder; he was not a fan of Cam Cameron. So I think guys get caught up in the moment. I think the guys get caught up in how they want to win, and they just kind of they spiral a little bit. And I think that's probably what happened with Cam Cameron. Like the same thing with Kyle Shanahan, right? When they were up 28-3 in the Super Bowl and he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. You don't even have to run well. If you just run a few times, they literally don't have enough time to come back in that game, right? But guys get in their own head. They make things more complicated than they are. They try to outsmart the other guys. They outsmart themselves and they beat themselves. So I don't think that he's throwing the game so much as he was just he's doing a bad job.
Now, back then, especially on that team, especially somebody like LT, he's going to be a lot more vocal about not getting the ball, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about, you referenced John Harbaugh, right? And us not running the ball in the playoffs. We don't have a running back on a team like that.
No.
That's going to say, what are you doing? Give me the ball. LT was the guy. He's absolutely saying, give me the ball and let's take us home. Let's take this thing home, right? You can't, to just ignore that. I know you're a deer caught in the headlights, but when your superstar player is screaming at you, kind of like how Travis Kelce screamed at Andy Reid, right? And what did Andy Reid do? All right, man. All right, chill. Let me get you the ball. Relax, right? At some point you wake up and say, yes, Danny. LT was him. He was that guy. All right. At some point you say, man, give him the ball. Right. Mm-hmm. And it ain't just LT saying give LT the ball. It's everybody in the office saying, call the run, dummy. but you make a good case here, man. Like it could be innocent by way of stupidity because as soon as LaDanian Tomlison said Cam Cameron, did you hear Fred Taylor say, "Oh, don't say that name"?
Yeah.
Nobody liked him. No. I remember when he got the head coaching job in Miami. That's the year they did Hard Knocks. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching him on Hard Knocks, and I was like, man, this show reveals a lot about the coaches, right? That they just can't hide. He had a terrible personality. I remember that was when
No. That wasn't him. That was Philbin.
Oh, Philbin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But you know why? Because Cam Cameron went like 1-15 and got fired and never got another job.
Cam Cameron brought Ted Ginn into the league.
I believe so.
Yes. Yeah. And yes, that's what happened. Didn't he draft Ted Ginn and he was telling the fans that he's going to be a great kick returner?
Hey, listen, he wasn't wrong. He was not wrong.
So, all right, look, this is a tough one, right? This is a tough one because when you're that bad of a coach, man, it could just be, hey, man, he just wet the bed. Okay. What do you guys think? Do we have can we put the little pie chart up?
Yes. Give me 1 second. I'll put that up here.
All right. Mike, I'll read what Mikey says here. Mikey says, or could it be a case of trying to make Rivers the star, like what happened to Seattle in the Super Bowl? Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. When you're dealing with bad coaching, it could be anything. It could be he was throwing a fit that they were up, and he's probably thinking, "Man, what if I don't get this job?" That could be it too.
If you can't see it there, just go ahead and type who you're siding with. Hashtag LT or hashtag CC for Cam Cameron.
Okay.
But I'm trying to see. It looks like okay. So this is the game here. It was a divisional round game. It was the year they went 14-2. They played New England in the divisional round. They lost 24-21. They were up 14-10 at halftime, 14-13 to start the fourth quarter, and then they got outscored 11-7 in the fourth quarter. And it looks like in this game, LaDanian Tomlinson, I mean, he got the ball. I had to look at the breakdown from half to first half to second half, because he did get 23 carries in this game. Let's see if they have.
Oh, it's not looking good for Cam Cameron. Okay, and by the way, this is the court of public opinion, but this is not a felony case. Felony case. It's not a felony case. This is a civil case, because this happened a while ago. Okay, LT is taking him to civil court of public of public opinion. That's what's going on here. All right. House says New England was just better. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. You didn't watch that game. They were getting the brakes beaten off of them. Let's see. Oh, hey, shout out to Dre. Mr. Galloway says, "Good evening, everyone." Hey, good evening to you. He was at the Ravens Stadium tour that we did on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Shout out to Hendo for putting that together. Something that we put together for our Patreon members of this show, Patreon members of the Row Pod, and also Sip to Tally, right? And we're going to be planning another one. So, if you missed out and you're like, man, I wish I could have been there, we're going to set that up again at some point. We'll give you guys a heads up, and that's only for Patreon members. So go over to patreon.com/LBHT Show and sign up. Nobody feels any sympathy for Cam Cameron B.
So maybe this wasn't the game. LaDanian had 10 carries in the second half of this game. So I'm not sure if that, obviously he's always going to want the ball more.
Yeah.
But, I don't know that I could really blame Cam for this one necessarily. It looks like they had the ball with a little over a minute left, and they needed to score at least a field goal. And obviously he didn't get the ball in that possession.
Right.
But before that, I mean, he was getting the ball pretty regularly.
It was a game where I know they were up big, and New England came back and won it.
Yeah.
Is it? Because they played New England like 2 or 3 times in the playoffs, right?
Let me see who they lost to in this conference championship. They lost to New England in the conference championship, but they were not up in this game. They lost 21-12, and in that game, LaDanian only had 2 carries.
Whoo!
And I think that might be the one where he
got hurt.
He sat out, and Rivers was playing with the torn ACL, so that one wasn't going to go their way.
Well, he got hurt in that game. They made it seem like
he didn't get hurt in that game. I don't think he was hurt coming into it, and he tried to go and he couldn't really go.
Oh, okay, yeah. He said they were up by 11, didn't he? Yeah, I could swear. Yeah, they were up, but I guess those details don't matter because the judgment is in. It's a clean sweep. I don't think you ever had a clean sweep on a court of public opinion. No sympathy for Cam Cameron. All right,
Yikes.
He is guilty. All right.
Y'all are heartless.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. House said he got hurt the week before. Thank you, House. Thank you. All right. So that was a clean judgment right there.
Yeah. So I mean, that was the game they were up in, but he got 23 carries, and I think what he's saying is just hand the ball off 3 times, burn the clock, and we win the game.
Yeah.
Which maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I don't put that one on Cam as much as LaDanian does. 20 years after the fact.
How many carries total did he have in that game?
23.
23 carries. 23 carries. And this isn't hindsight, because Chargers fans would have told you back then, what the hell are you doing not giving the ball to LaDanian Tomlison? Right? Was that the year he had 50 touchdowns?
It probably was. I mean, they went 14-2.
Right? Like they would have they'd have told you, what are you doing? Okay. Was Marty Schottenheimer the head coach?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, he got fired after that. 14-2, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't hand the ball off to your star running back, and he got fired. Okay, that was surprising to me. Now here we are in 2024 after being the number one seed, only running the ball, being the number one running team in the league, boasting about it, having the league MVP at quarterback, only running the ball 4 times and losing. And this coach is still here. But we're crazy for saying fire him.
Yeah, you are. Okay. It's not how it goes.
No.
So, yeah, they were up 14-3. Then New England scored a touchdown, kicked a field goal. LaDanian scored again to make it 21-13. And then New England obviously scored a couple times to win the game.
Okay.
I feel like this is I'm going to be honest. I feel like this is a little bit of LaDanian looking back and saying that was my shot.
Oh yeah.
And looking for somebody to blame a little bit.
And it's an easy person to blame when you have bad coaching like that.
Yeah, but look, again, he carried the ball 23 times. And he scored midway through the fourth quarter.
It should have been 30.
But
running back, like this isn't like today's NFL. Like back then, like running backs carried the ball 30, 35 times.
I know. But
so 23, he's just like, what are we doing? What are you doing? Benching me? 23 is a full load nowadays. Back then, that's 30, 35, 40 carries.
So I guess this is kind of, I'm looking at it in the fourth quarter, he had 5 carries, but they only had the ball 3 times. And one time he scored a touchdown, right?
That's what he's saying.
They got the ball back and he carried it once and, he went for 5 yards and then they threw it a couple times. So this is really where he's talking about right here. Is this drive, the game is tied at 21. They get the ball with 4.5 minutes left. They hand it off to him on first down. He gets 5 yards, and they throw it on 2nd and 5, incomplete. They throw it on 3rd and 5, incomplete, punt. New England takes the lead. And then he doesn't get the ball again because the game's almost over at that point.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's saying, on that one particular drive, had you handed me the ball, we could have ran out the clock and we would have won the game.
And he's right.
Maybe he's right. But it's not as egregious as he made it sound in the clip, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying right now. It's not as egregious as all of that.
All right. Look, you guys are gonna be in for a treat. Sonny's here. We're gonna give Sonny a couple minutes to get set up. All right. Last time he was on here, we had a nice, lengthy, friendly debate. Okay. This is how rational people discuss things and not get all emotional about it, not get all childish about it because we say something that you don't like. All right. But yes, we'll give him a couple minutes to that. In fact, before he gets ready, you want to do trivia time now?
Yeah. Okay, we'll do trivia time. So I found this question a few days.
Oh, submit questions. No, let's do submitted questions first. Let's do submitted questions and then trivia
questions
time.
real quick.
Yes, submitted questions. All right, Sonny, hang tight. We're gonna do submitted questions, and we're gonna bring you up. All right, what's the first question? This is for points as well. Okay, if we read your questions on air, you get points.
Yes. All right. So first question, we're gonna go through this pretty quickly here. We got from Jeremy: if you could live one day as any athlete alive or dead, who would it be?
One day as any athlete?
Yes.
Who was who was like the 12th man on like those Lakers dynasties? I know you guys are gonna say like I know you guys would think I was gonna say like LeBron or something like that. No. I want to be like the 12th man that was good enough to make the team every year. I got a ring. I'm getting an NBA check. I get to go to all the parties that they get to go to, but I can still get up and make a run to Target real quick if I need to pick up something.
See, no, that's the wrong answer. I'm gonna tell you right now. And y'all know I wasn't even the biggest fan of this guy. You know that. But my answer is Michael Jordan in his last game. Well, it wasn't his last game, should have been. But in the last game against the Utah Jazz, when he definitely pushed off of Brian Russell and had the picture perfect ending to the career, because it's only one day.
Uh-huh.
You know, you only get to be this person for one day. So I'm going to be one of the most iconic performances. You know, one of the most iconic moments in sports history for that one day.
Okay, all right. What's the next
Next
question?
up from Jay. In past drafts, the Panthers have double dipped. I can't believe I did that. Have double dipped at positions. With this draft being stacked at wide receiver, could you see us using number 33 and number 39 at wide receiver? You know, I don't think so. I think that in order for them to do that, you're kind of saying to yourself, we don't really believe in Jonathan Mingo at this point, and I don't think anybody's there yet. You know, I mean, he showed some flashes last season, and also they have other needs. I'm thinking 33 or one or the other. It's going to be wide receiver and center is what I'm thinking at this point. They can kind of complete the O-line and then go out and get another target for Bryce. You went out and got Deontay Johnson. You draft this guy at the top of the second round. You've got Jonathan Mingo, who you're still trying to develop. And then you can go wide receiver again later in the draft because there are still going to be some guys in the next round, third, fourth round, whatever. But I don't think they use both those picks at wide receiver.
Yeah, and you still have Adam Thielen on the team.
Yeah. Right? I mean, for one more year probably.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I can see them getting another wide receiver, but going back to back a wide receiver, that's a bit much. I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't think they do it at 33 and 39. Next up, Suge. I don't understand why I keep doing that. What book had the most significant impact on your life?
Oh, the most significant?
Mm-hmm.
Damn you, Suge.
Wow.
Why don't I read these questions beforehand?
I don't know why you don't read them beforehand.
Because I'm busy. All right. That's a tough one to answer, man. I would say probably either Black Boy or Native Son by Richard Wright. I actually read Black Boy. My sister bought me Black Boy before my junior year of high school, and I read through that, and I was like, man, like that was good. And then it just so happened when I got to 11th grade, Native Son was the book that my teacher, Mrs. Morris, wanted us to read, and I was like, man, I just read his other book,
Yeah.
But yeah, those two books kind of got me thinking a little bit, deeper. You're teenagers at
Right.
at that time, and you're thinking about girls and shoes, and you're not doing homework, but it kind of made me think about society a little bit more.
I had a similar experience with Native Son because I read that in my English class at Long Reach as well.
There you go. Shout out to Long Reach
with Miss Edwards. But I would say for my answer, it's probably going to be a book that I read even earlier than that when I was in 6th grade, and my school library, for whatever reason, let me check out The Shining. And I'm not real big on horror stories. I don't watch horror movies and stuff like that, but I was reading that book and I was terrified. I couldn't go to sleep, so I would just read more, and that just made me more scared. But it was really one of the first books that kind of opened my eyes to how a book can transport you, really. It kind of put you in somebody else's shoes and make you feel like those worlds are really real. And kind of I don't want to say it was the only thing that sparked my love of reading, but it was one of the big ones early on.
All right.
That I
So,
really should not have been reading at that point. Not at all.
All right. Is that the last one?
That is the last one. We have one from Noah, but I didn't get a chance to put it in here because it was after the start of the show. So I apologize, Noah. I'm going to get your points anyway, but just try and post before the show starts next time.
Okay. All right. Shout out to Noah. All right. Sonny is ready. Ladies and gentlemen, our guy Sonny.
Well, don't bring him up just yet.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
I got to switch the scenes and make sure it comes up properly. Give me 1 second, Sonny.
There he is.
There he is. I like the little backstage mic. I like that. Yeah. That's very cool. That is very cool.
How you doing, Sonny?
Man, I just came up from the one live stream to the other one. Shout out to you guys.
Hey, one cool thing about this setup, Sonny. If you tell us backstage, hey, not ready yet or whatever, like we can hear you backstage.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's cool. Look, I saw your take on the Stephon Diggs trade. I don't know. Do you get a lot of hate for that?
Did we get a lot of hate? No. I mean, you know what, Sonny? Like, man, this has always been a thing with us, man. Like, we don't ever want to go for a playmaker at that position. And back when we had Kyle Bowler, it was acceptable, right? Even with Joe Flacco, it's like, okay, fine, whatever. Oh, he gets a calm warning.
Yeah, yes, Jay. Because you know why? Because you're a habitual line stepper, Jay. This is the first time Noah did it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You abused that, Jay. You did abuse that. But this time it's like we're in the AFC Championship game. Lamar getting his second league MVP trophy, and like where's the sense of urgency? Like where's the hey, like this is our guy. We put together this team. We're trying to make that push for a Super Bowl. It just doesn't seem like that's their focus. Like it seems like this team has always been trying to just maintain, and if we get lucky enough to win a Super Bowl, then that's a bonus, but that's not really our goal. Like giving up a second round pick, bro, you give that up. And I don't want to hear about money when you just kicked out a bunch of money for a defensive tackle that we did not need, right? Like that to me, like your priorities are on defense, and defense is never going to win you a Super Bowl. Like we have to support Lamar Jackson. Defense is going to be good. Don't get me wrong. Like that's not me saying forget the defense. I think even without Matt BK, we're going to have a good defense, right? Like I believe more in those young guys behind him and on the team, right? Than I do on the offensive side. Like Zay Flowers is cool. I don't think Rashad Bateman is going to be that guy. And there's nobody else after that.
I hear you. Like, I was not liking the there's a two-part here. Like, I said, like, if it was a second round pick and Houston hasn't paid him, but they ended up giving him a new contract, then no, I was gonna be out. Mm-hmm. If it was a second round pick and you don't have to give him the new money, then yes, I'm in. But the reality is, for me, I'm not big on the type of receiver that Stephon Diggs is for this offense with the current receivers we have, right? Like, I think I said it here before. If not, I'm going to say it here again. The type of receiver we need a position type receiver, somebody that's tall. I feel like the Ravens, are very good moving in between the 20s, and we get to the red zone. And yeah, Mark Andrews is big, but he's not a go get the ball type of guy. Say Flowers ain't that guy either. Bateman's not that guy either. But who's going to be that guy, right? Like, I feel like when you play good defenses, we struggle to score those points. We score from outside the 20 because we have a lot of people that can make people miss in the open field. And, yeah, we have Henry now. Like, maybe in the red zone can be the potential, you just pound the ball and score. And between him and Lamar, you can fake the defense, and one of those two guys can run the ball between either the gap or on the outside fairly easy. But who's that guy in the receiving end? We don't have that. Stephon Diggs will not sold that either. Like, I have been saying, like, why are we, like, somebody... So last year, I was opposed to the Odell Beckham Jr. signing. I hated that signing, hated it day one. I had to just, clap it because, what else I'm going to do? I already had the receiver.
But you
I
understood why
hated
they did it, right? Because that's what he was demanding, and they're trying to get him
I
signed.
wouldn't even do it. I would be like, Lamar, you need to chill, because the other guy you're mentioning is the guy that is the proper guy for us to get. And still, that guy won't cost you a lot. I'll be calling times, look, you ain't competing. D-Hop's there. D-Hop wants to win.
Yeah.
Bring me D-Hop. And I will take D-Hop over Diggs. I will take D-Hop over Diggs. That's the type of... And then you go draft a guy that it has the potential like D-Hop, and you say to the young kid, you see that guy? You're going to learn from him. And in 2 years, when D-Hop ain't here, you're going to be that guy, right?
Well, let me ask you this real quick, Sonny.
Go ahead.
Like, you're saying Diggs isn't the type of receiver we need. What is it that you think Diggs can't do? Because I see somebody that can do everything.
I don't think Diggs is that type of guy that gets the ball. I think Diggs and say Flowers can be a similar type. He's bigger than say.
Yeah.
They're the same, not the same, but it's typical receiver, not typical. The same type of receiver is what I mean. Really good receiver. He made Josh Allen. Like one of the curiosities that I have is, let's see how Josh Allen looks now, because he, like Patrick Queen, he did not look good before. But from Roquan, right? And then Allen did not look good before Diggs. Diggs gets there. Allen looks great. We'll see now. Diggs is good on the out. Diggs is a really good route runner, and he can beat you with that. And I feel like that's where my hope is Flowers develops to be a really good route, crisp runner, and then he can get open like that. And Bateman does that. The problem with Bateman is, first, he tends to get hurt if you use him a lot, which... It's not great. That's not great. And then second, then he gets a drop cease on top of that, and you're like, WTF? And I wanted us to draft Bateman in that draft. I was banging my draft Bateman.
Yeah.
This year's draft has we're gonna talk about the draft later, but in the case of Diggs, look again for a second round pick. If that was just it, again, if there's no new money, I'm okay with that. The other problem that I have with Diggs is he does look like a guy that if things are not going his way, he starts pounding and padding, and that doesn't fit the Ravens offense. Because in the Ravens offense, you might have a game that you're eating a lot, and you might have a game that you don't see the ball at all. And if you're gonna create a stern because of that, that's not great. You want a guy, whoever comes to the Ravens has to be a good soldier, right? For all the shit that we want to talk about Hollywood Brown, I did not like that pick when it happened. I think he played better than what I thought how he was gonna play. But he was a good soldier. He didn't complain until the offseason, and then he got traded, and that was it, right? I don't know if Diggs has that patience. And this locker room here in Baltimore is very tight, and I think they want to play for each other, and you don't want somebody that can disrupt that. Now, do we need more talent on the receiver? Yes. It's not me saying we should not add talent. And again, if you tell me right now, can we go to give a third or a fourth? You might not even a fourth for D-Hop. Go get D-Hop. Veteran receiver, a guy that can go up and get the ball, right? We don't have somebody like D-Hop at all. And it's not like you need to overuse it, because then you have the younger guys. You still should draft a receiver. But I think a guy like D-Hop will fit more of what the Ravens need.
Is he available right now?
No, that's what I'm saying. You have to trade him. But the thing is, he's in Tennessee. He's a free agent next year. Is he gonna? If Tennessee's competing this year for a playoff, I personally don't think so. They're more on the rebuild year.
They think they are. I mean, they went and they paid Calvin Ridley a ridiculous sum of money to go and. But I hear what you're saying, Sonny. And the one thing in particular, you say, hey, in the Ravens offense, 1 week, you'll do well. Another week, you may not even see the ball. And my response to that is, you shouldn't be that kind of offense. Nobody should be that kind of offense, right? And the reason they are that kind of offense and have always been that kind of offense is because they don't have guys who can demand the ball every week. And they didn't have that at running back or receiver, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, I don't care if Nelson Aguilar gets targets this week. I don't care if Tylan Wallace gets the ball this week. I don't care if we give Gus or Justice a good amount of carries this week. But if you have guys like, again, Derrick Henry, who they just signed, right? You're giving the ball to Derrick Henry every week. You go and you get Stephon Diggs. You're going to make sure that you get the ball in Stephon Diggs' hands every week. It's a thing where you cater towards the talent on your team, and Baltimore just hasn't had it. Now, I understand saying, maybe you prefer other guys to Stephon Diggs. Completely get that.
Yeah.
But the problem for Baltimore is, again, you've passed on all those guys. And that's really where the criticism comes in, right? It's not just, oh, man, you could have got Stephon Diggs, because, I mean, he is a little bit older, right? You can say, hey, maybe we don't think he's the greatest fit. But the fact is that you passed on, A.J. Brown, Tyreek, Devontae. You passed on all the guys who were available, right? And now, it's, hey, we can get Stephon Diggs for pretty cheap because they didn't pay him anything else. He's on a 1-year deal now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Houston, they cut off the rest. Well, they agreed to kind of trash the rest of his contract. He's on a prove-it deal, essentially. And it was a 2025 second-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's gone by. So now you're kind of sitting here and you're like, hey, maybe take a shot at Brandon Ayuk, maybe take a shot at Deebo Samuel, or I guess go back in the draft, right? And I think what we're saying is, hey, I would rather you go and get, whoever it is, Deebo, Ayuk, Devontae, Tyree, whoever the receiver is, and make that trade, and then say, you know what, we're going to use our first or second round pick to replace Justin Madubuike. You know what I mean?
Yes. So okay. So we can talk about the Madubuike thing, right? Because the thing with Madubuike, I said I think in the last show that we should try to figure out how to sign some of the defensive players because we lost basically most of our defensive coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to have some sort of continuity, that we needed to sign something. Do I have a lot of question with Madubuike? Yes, I do. I know Ravens fans are super excited. I can separate the two things. I love Madubuike as a person. He seems like an awesome dude. I would love to meet him. He looks like a guy that you can hang out with, looks super joyful and all that. Also, a guy that has trended up and exploited the 1 year. The question is, can he stay like last year or is he coming down to it? That worries me. Would I pay that much money? I don't know. Now, does the deal look ridiculous? Well, how the D-tackle market is, his deal's not bad for his production. What I want, so the problem that I have with trading for guys like the guys that you're saying, like the one guy that really pissed me off that we didn't trade was A.J. Brown. Yes. A.J. Brown pissed me off to like the eon extent because in that draft I wanted Linderbaum. We ended up getting him with Hollywood Brown. With that 14 pick, although Kyle Hamilton is spectacular and I love Kyle Hamilton, would I give him the 14 for A.J. Brown? Yes, I would have. Yes. The Eagles gave a later draft pick than the 14 pick. Mm-hmm. The second part of what you were saying, I personally, you don't care if Nelly gets targets or Wallace. I don't care. Sonny's the other way. I don't care who gets the targets. I just need the ball to be moved. I don't like when Lamar has had a couple receivers that you in a moment you're like, he's force feeding this guy, and the defense keying on that, and you can see the offense stall. I would prefer that not to happen. I would prefer to have a bunch of guys that can make plays. Right? I don't need a Justin Jefferson if all my other guys are good enough, right, to get open and catch the ball. There doesn't need to be Justin Jefferson, right?
But they're not.
Well,
they've never been.
We can argue that. Yeah, I agree. We haven't had that. We'll see with Zay Flowers, right? Bateman can be a 3. He'll be fine as a 3, especially because then you have the tight ends, right? Our tight ends have to factor in the pass catching side of it because Mark Andrews gets a bulk of the catches, and likely when he's there also gets the catch. The question here is, can you find a 1/2 with Zay? Because I think if you find that guy, that will work. The only problem what I was gonna say, when you trade for a guy like any other guys you said, is those trades very, very what is the word I'm looking for? They don't tend to work as most people expect. Tyreek Hill is one of the exceptions. Tyreek Hill might be one of one, right? When it's all said and done, because he is ridiculous how his speed is and route running has stayed all this time.
AJ Brown worked out for the Eagles.
AJ Brown, yes. So that was one first round pick, yes. And like I said,
Stephon Diggs worked out for the Bills.
I would have done that. Yeah, so Stephon Diggs is another guy that he didn't have to give up a whole lot of draft compensation.
Correct.
Yes. Right. So if you can find those type of guys still in their prime, you do that, right? The reason I brought Tyreek Hill, I think it went for 2 first rounds. Devontae went for 2 first rounds.
I think he was I want to say he was a first and a second, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, my point is very, very high competition. Yes. Yeah. So you give up a high, and we talk about this the other day. High competition plus a bag of money, your margins become super thin, right? So that being said, this is the draft. Look, the Ravens right now need, in my opinion, 2 things. There are 2 glaring holes in here. Well, actually, before I say mine, what do you guys think the big holes, other than wide receiver? I know you guys think wide receiver.
I'm not even worried about the wide receiver at this point. Like, what's done is done. You have to get some starters on the O-line.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, O-line wise, I think the converse, and I'm a big O-line guy. I mean, in the AFC North guy, I'm Noah's trenches guy, but the O-line is a problem because you don't have a right tackle. I don't believe in Falalele.
And left and right guard.
I think the guard situation, it's one of 2 things. Either they had done a horrible job in the past couple of years drafting guards, or they have it solved. If we look how they have been doing it historically for the past 8 or 9 years, they usually draft a guy in the 3rd round pick, 3rd/4th. They make him sit for a good 2 to 3 years, and then the guy comes and does a really good job, right? We talk about Powers, we talk about Jensen, the guy that we had last year as a left guard, he happened to be there. It was more of luck than anything. And Cleveland looked good at the end of the year, and this is Cleveland's moment. The left guard, let's say he stayed there in the right guard. In the left guard, you have the competition between Voorhees, and you have the competition between Salah.
Well, so I kind of want to stop right there, right? Because Voorhees' name gets dropped a lot, and this is the problem I have amongst fans, is that we do a lot of projection. Voorhees is nobody, right? Like he's a rookie who's been hurt. He's a 7th round pick. Mm-hmm. He was hurt often in college, and we're projecting him as a starter. Where are we getting that from?
Well. So if you go to the pre-draft, whatever from last year, he was 2nd/3rd. And then he tears his ACL, I think it was.
I don't know. I've heard that from a lot of people. I looked at multiple sites, and they all had him as a day 3 lineman. Now, I mean, granted, obviously people are going to have different opinions. But
that's fine. But my point is, I'm not even penciling him as a starter. I'm just saying competition between him, Salah, and at worst Macari too, because Macari came to the draft as a guard, or to the league as a guard. Right? So you got 3 guys competing for the left side. You're hoping Cleveland takes the right guard position. So I think your guard, and you still can draft a guy in the mid-round. You still can draft a guard in the mid-round, right? So it looks to me that the guard situation, you have solutions in-house. But the right tackle position is a different story. And you're talking about right tackle that has to face potentially Myles Garrett. TJ Watt loves to go to the right side, right? So it's not a position that you don't face elite talent on the other side. So that being said, this year's a good year for tackles. I think you need to go get your tackle. Actually, okay if they go get 2 tackles so they can hit Stanley's replacement, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
I think they really need to hit O-line in the draft since they didn't do anything of substance in free agency on the O-line. But and I hear what you're saying about having multiple potential guys at guard or on the interior line, right?
mhm,
Um, and I think that for me that's more of a solution for a team like Carolina. I'm a Panthers fan, but like
mhm,
they were not a very good team. They won 2 games last year, and
mhm,
if they had come to me and said, "Hey, we've got Brady Christensen, we've got Zavala, we've got Austin Corbett, we got Cade Mays, we're gonna maybe draft another guy, and we're gonna see who shakes out." I'm like, okay, that makes sense. They're young guys. They haven't really gotten a chance to play. They haven't gotten a chance to prove themselves. Maybe you have something there. But when Eric DaCosta and John Harbaugh say that to me, I'm saying you're supposed to be competing for a Super Bowl.
Right
You
now,
can't
your
go
window's now.
into the season and say, "Man, we hope one of these guys pops at left guard. We hope Cleveland is the guy at right, or we hope Cleveland's the guy at right guard, and
mhm.
we hope we can find a right tackle." You know what I
So
mean?
what would you do? What would you do?
Well, I mean, what I would have done. I mean,
Mhm.
the time has passed for this
Okay,
already. But
what would
I
you
would have
done?
signed. I would have signed guys on the O line day one in free agency and let Justin Madubuike walk because he's not as important to the team as protecting Lamar Jackson. Now they didn't do that, so that ship has sailed.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm saying yes, you have to go O line in the first round, and that could be tackle or that could be an interior guy, depending on who you like the most and how the draft shakes out. Obviously, right? Because there's going to be a run on O lineman in the first round, I think. But just whoever your favorite guy, your top guy there at 30 is, you take him there. And I think that they're going to have to look in free agency through the June 1st cuts and see if anybody who can play gets cut. They're going to have to bring in some veterans. But to your point, I think they're going to have to draft multiple O linemen. And at this point, they're just going to have to hope for the best. I mean, they're not in a great situation
But
when it comes to the offensive line.
and also look at, just look at the offense as a whole. I mean, think about what you're saying here, Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receivers, they ain't gotta be great, just good enough. Offensive line, look, we're gonna find the guys. Okay, they'll work themselves out. That's not putting talent around Lamar. That's not having a plan for Lamar to have you win these games. But when we get it in the regular season, it's fine because we're gonna win, right? We're gonna get to the playoffs. Is when we get to the playoffs and talent starts to step up, and we don't have that talent, and we're looking at Lamar to do something special to bail us out. That's where we run into those problems, and that's what we've been saying. Like, you have to give him something to work with because the quarterbacks that he's competing with have something to work with. So we got to do better than
if
that.
we talk about the top, so you will say Lamar is a top 3 quarterback, correct?
Yes.
So if you talk about Patrick Mahomes, right? Lamar, and who's your third guy?
Right
In
now,
the
Allen?
AFC,
probably Josh Allen. Probably Josh.
maybe CJ Stroud.
Right. So CJ Stroud is in a different moment because he is in a very, very cheap contract. So this is where, which if you want to argue the Ravens didn't do it, I agree with
didn't.
you,
Yeah.
right? But they're in a different stages, right?
I mean, you can put Joe Burrow in there.
Okay, Joe Burrow, another good one, right? Joe Burrow just got paid. Joe Burrow's contract really kicks next year, right? But if you think about right now, what the Bengals are, they have Chase, cheap, right? But the other receiver that is really good, T. Higgins, they franchise him, and they are in a struggle to sign him long term because they're like, where are we gonna get this money? We need to be good on the other side too, right? And if you think about the Bengals defense last year, they lost the 2 safeties, and you can see how they took a step back from the rest of the defense. And when Joe Burrow went down, even when he was healthy, it wasn't like the offense wasn't putting points. The defense couldn't stop anybody, right? And that is also problematic. So I always am very big on balancing. And if you think about Mahomes, what the Chiefs has done is like we need to draft guys, not even in the first round. Think about all the first round picks that they just been putting on defense. The Chiefs have. They just gone defense and they say like Mahomes, look, if you're that guy, I need you to elevate, right? Which is what the Patriots did with Tom Brady, and you can argue that's what the Packers did for the longest time with Rodgers, right? Now what they did do is they built a good O line, right? They had the O line, they had the they had the tight end. So for me,
They had. I mean, you mentioned two teams that had two of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game, right? Like they had special players and they had a good O line. Like
the
that's not nothing.
Patriots, yeah, no, so this is what I'm saying. So the Ravens, in my opinion, need to figure out how to fortify the O line, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah,
And they had the center. I think Stanley, when he's healthy, he's still good.
I agree.
Not elite like he used to be, but he's still good. I think the contract restriction that they did with Stanley was great. On the guard situation, I will go back. I think every year they figure out a way to have a guard that has played above. Think about last year. We talk about left guard. We had a competition.
No, I agree with you, Sonny.
So the guard situation.
You talking about John Simpson? You talking about John
Simpson?
Simpson?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I would say it's not Simmons. It's not Simmons. It's something. It's Simpson. Yes, Simmons. Sorry, Simpson play. If you think about Cleveland, he looks to be fine. Like as same thing with Simpson, the linebacker, when he played last year in the last game. You're like, ooh, I can see why he's gonna replace Queen. We'll see if he can do it for a whole year, right? Cleveland in the last 2 games of the year, he looked good on the right guard position. So now we're talking about the left guard position here, and we have about 3 guys competing for that left guard position. The big problem here is right tackle. Right tackle, we have a Grand Canyon of a hole because nobody trusts Falele. No one, right? I don't feel comfortable putting there. You can have Pat McCory, patch that, because Pat McCory, God bless his soul, he plays everything, right?
yeah, he does.
But you want a right tackle now. They were blessed, and I should bless. I think they saw, okay, this is draft to draft tackle. This is a draft to draft tackle. There's tackles from the first round to the third round. They're really good that I can plug and play in the right tackle position, and they can be good, right? And I think that's what they're gonna do. On the other side, on the receiver side, there's a couple guys with size that can.
I gotta say, sorry, real quick. I can't agree with the you just got tackles that you can plug and play. Sure, there will be some, but it's
Who
not going
was
to
a
be
free
all.
agent that
It's
you
not
would
going
have
to be
won
those
us the
guys.
Who was a free agent that you would have won the Ravens to take?
At tackle or guard?
Yeah, tackle. No. I said, I think
Tackle.
guard. They
I
feel
don't.
comfortable.
I don't think there were any particularly good tackles. But my thing with tackle, I mean, with the entire O line, is go and get somebody who has starting experience, who you know you can get at least a certain level of play from, right? But I was more focused on them signing guards. I thought they should have kept one of their guards, one of their starting guards, either Simpson or Zeitler. So, because the overall problem here for me, Sonny, is it's too many holes to try and fill in one offseason.
Well, there's plenty of guards. I mean, you had Owenu, you had Dotson. I mean,
Onwenu can play right tackle as well. But
and the Panthers signed two guards that I was like, oh, you should.
Yeah, but in my opinion, they feel
about the
comfortable.
draft though.
They feel comfortable with their guard situation.
Yeah,
I think
but they were comfortable with their wide receiver situation a couple years ago.
They were comfortable with once they signed OBJ. They were
no. I'm talking about a couple years before when he said let the young guys cook, and they ran out there and with Demarcus Robinson as their number one receiver. They were comfortable then. But my point
I
about
disagree.
tackle
I think that year they tried to get, and I mean going 2 years back, we tried to sign some guys, if I'm not mistaken. But
I don't think so.
but a lot of the guys that we tried to sign, they were like the veterans that are like in the 1 year prove me year. They're like, I'm not going to that offense, right? And you can look at them and say, yeah, you're right. Why would you come to this offense? You essentially have to overpay OBJ to come to this offense. This is what you ended up doing last year on a 1 year deal. If you want to sign a 1 year deal guy, you had to overpay because this offense wasn't tailored to wide receivers. And when you sign a 1 year deal, you're looking at that. Like, for all intents and purposes, if what Stephon Diggs wanted was a 1 year deal, right? He probably look at the Ravens and like, maybe I get 800 yards because that's what the top receiver there will get, right? And because the offense spreads out the ball a lot, is that what you want to do on a 1 year trying to get paid again? No. And he
No,
might have.
but that's where you say you have to overpay in those situations, because that's the situation that Baltimore put themselves in. But what I wanted to address was the right tackle in the draft, right? Because draft Twitter and people who cover the draft and NFL fans this time of year are endlessly optimistic. All these guys can play,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's a deep class. There's a lot of players that people like, and we know as fact, just from history, that most of them aren't going to work out, right? And so we can't just say, hey, you can get a tackle from round 1, 2, 3 that you can plug and play at right tackle and expect them to play well. And particularly when you look at Eric DaCosta, he's drafted, I believe it's like 8 O linemen so far since he's been the GM. Only
Late
one.
rounds. Late rounds.
Okay, but that's fine. But only one has come in and played well before their third or fourth year. They need somebody who can play today.
Yep. So I think they should draft a tackle within the first and second round. And I said, I said this, I think in this show too. First round, they want starter. Second round, hopefully it's a starter, but definitely a contributor. Third year, none of those guys you expect year 1 to start. Year 2, I mean, if they do, great. But year 2 is when you want to see more impact. In year 3, that's when you hope to be starting. Fourth and later, it's hopefully, right?
Yeah.
And what they've been doing is they've been stacking guys. And I think that they've been doing preparing. But the problem that I have here is when you go to the draft, you are hoping that these guys that you draft, especially in the early 2 rounds, are starters, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to have that confidence. You have to have the confidence that the guy that I'm picking is the guy that I'm picking to start. Now, there's luxury times that you can have a guy not start right away. Kyle Hamilton, well, we used him all over the place that first year. If you go with corners with Humphrey, right, Marlowe, he really didn't start at the beginning. He later started more. But then you have other picks like Linderbaum, day 1 starter, right? Stanley, day 1 starter. Say Flowers, in theory, day 1 starter, right? So depending the position, you can start him right away or not. But when you have a guy like Lamar Jackson, and like I said, the reason why I brought Pat Mahomes is because they're in a similar situation, right? And you can think about the Bills, they're probably in a similar situation. And the Bengals, if they were in a similar situation, they would have signed Higgins already. They know that this quarterback's taking X amount of the cap, right? In my opinion, I think the way you build these teams is you just put a big, good O-line in front of them, decent receivers, which is not something that you guys probably will like. One good pass catcher, tight end, or receiver, right? And build the defense. That's been the formula for those type of teams, right?
But why is there so much value on defense? Like, why don't we say we can have decent linebackers? We can have
decent linebackers.
We can have So we don't spend $100 million on one linebacker. We don't spend $70 million on
20.
one safety. You said 20.
Well, because you say 100, but if it is 100 for 10 years, it's 10. You really want to know what is the amount per year. It's what you want to look, right? Like, for me, saying that Rowe make 100.
Well, no, that's not 100 million a year.
And 20 is a massive overpay.
It is. It is a big contract, but it's all about what is this guy, in this case Rowe, brings to this team. The reality when Roquan Smith landed for the Ravens, right? How the shift happened in that defense. Same D coordinator, pretty much same D line. It was in the middle of the season, and how that defense turned.
Yeah, you're saying he's a playmaker.
Not only because a lot of stuff he does, sometimes you're looking like you don't see a lot of the stuff he does, but how that defense glue under him was huge.
Yeah, that's our point on offense. Like we don't bring those guys in on offense. We say just get guys that are good enough, and you can get special players on offense that can transform that entire wide receiver core, right? But we don't want to explore that. But on defense, we say no, we have to have that guy by any means. Whether it's first round pick in the draft, and if he doesn't work out, we got to go and trade for Roquan and overpay for him. We got to do it with the safeties. We got to go and pay Marcus Williams a big contract, and then double down and draft Kyle Kyle Hamilton in the
Which
first
I was
round. Like,
surprised about that, but yes.
that doesn't surprise me at all. That's always been our way, even with Ozzy here. Like, we don't take chances on defense. We have to make sure, we always have to make sure that we have the right guy. On offense, we want to experiment. And back when we were, defense was the strength of the team. Defense was, our best players were on defense.
Mm-hmm.
That was okay. That's not the case anymore. Our
Yeah.
best player is Lamar Jackson. He's a 2-time MVP. There has to be a change of philosophy to say that side of the ball has to carry us.
Yeah, and I think this is where we're gonna differ a little bit. I agree. If you have a top 5 quarterback, you have to protect him. You have to build the great.
Oh no, yeah, we agree on that for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But this is where we're gonna disagree. If I think you as Lamar Jackson is that guy, which I do think, like Pat Mahomes, right? I need you to elevate guys, right?
Quarterbacks don't elevate receivers, man.
Then
That's
why
not a
why
thing.
no? But then why am I paying this? So then you're taking a guy. You're complaining about Roquan Smith that is 20 mil, right? Which I don't know how much percent of the cap is that. But then you're gonna say, which my point with Bro, which 20 mil seems like overpay for a middle linebacker. I will agree with you in that. But he looked to elevate everybody around him because you can see the defense statistically how it changed from one side to the other when he got there, right? So Lamar is even more cap hit on this, like Pat Mahomes is. And what Pat Mahomes does is he takes bad receivers, because we can argue he has a lot of bad receivers, and he elevates to mid receivers, right?
But saying he didn't do that. That's what I'm saying. If you look,
you don't think Pat Mahomes did that?
No, they led the league in drops. And when they got to the playoffs, he only threw to 2 or 3 guys. He only threw to Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, and a couple to Valdez-Scantling. He didn't elevate guys.
Got it. But my point to you is he has trash receivers, in my opinion, and he elevates to mid. What I said earlier in this conversation is you can get away with mid receivers. They had good hands. You cannot bring me here a guy like Perriman that drops everything that comes near him, right? What you need here is guys that are mid, that Lamar can elevate, but they need to have good hands, right? We can, if Lamar scrambles out and that opens somebody up and Lamar finds him and they cannot drop the ball.
Can I ask you this, Sonny? Can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
If Pat Mahomes doesn't have Travis Kelce, is he going to be able to elevate those guys on his team?
No, but again, I said also you need one guy.
Yeah, but we don't.
Baltimore doesn't have that guy.
No, in my opinion, you guys can disagree between likely Andrews and say Flowers. You had 3 guys that are
good.
They're
good. Yeah.
Good, right? Maybe not elite like this guy, but you have in Kansas City 1 elite and 3 guys that if I had to rank, I will put Kelce, our 3 guys, and then whoever you want to.
Well, I think you're wildly underrating Rashee Rice there. I think he's right there on the same level.
Rashee Rice is Rashee Rice has been a roller coaster.
At
the end of the year, he looked good, but he had the same problem at the beginning of the year with the drops. But people are like, can we count on Rashee Rice? That was a conversation that the Kansas City Chiefs were having. Can we count on him, right? In the case of Andrews,
Zay Flowers is not significantly better than Rashee Rice.
Zay Flowers was way more impactful, in my opinion, than Rashee Rice was, right?
He was impactful when he got the taunting penalty and fumbled the ball.
That was stupid.
Yeah, right. But Rashee Rice didn't do those things in the playoffs, did he?
Rashee Rice he got less. I mean, they probably play more. Not probably. They play more games, but on a per game basis, he was asked less than what Zay Flowers was asked, right? And in our case, we didn't have a healthy Mark Andrews in that game either, right? It wasn't like Mark Andrews was because he came from the broken ankle, right? So obviously our best catcher wasn't really himself. Not that he wasn't himself throughout this year, but obviously he pushed himself to make it to that game, right?
Well,
okay. So obviously we didn't have it's like, let's say we go get Justin Jefferson, right? And you're like, yeah, you had the best receiver, but if your best receiver cannot play that game or plays hamstring because what happened, well, in that game you don't have your full strength on that side, and injuries can happen.
Let me just say this to you though. Rashee Rice in this playoff run has better numbers than Mark Andrews has for his whole career in the playoffs.
Okay.
He has more yards and more touchdowns this past season than Mark Andrews has in his whole career in the playoffs. And our point is that Mark Andrews isn't that guy. Mark Andrews he's a good regular season tight end.
He's good.
But when he gets to the playoffs, he is nowhere near the type of player that Travis Kelce is. He doesn't make the impact. And the other part that I'll say too, they can get away with one elite receiver and some other bad players. There's one, they have a real running back, which Baltimore does not have. Lamar Jackson is the entire run game.
Yeah.
And they have the greatest, and they have one of the greatest offensive minds ever in the NFL coaching that team. And Baltimore has nothing anywhere near that. So Baltimore needs more talent. They have to have more talent.
I think going back to Travis Kelce, right? He helps mitigate the bad play, right?
I agree.
Because when the other guys don't get going, he knows he can throw it to Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce is going to make the plays at the times they need him to make the plays, and he does it all the time. And without that, we beat them, right? Without that, they don't get past the 49ers. Like, you have to have a special player somewhere, or if you don't have a special player, that's when you have to have more talent, right? We can't have average guys and no special player outside of Lamar. It's not gonna work, because we'll always end up in that situation.
Yes, I don't disagree. My point is, in the case of how this offense is constructed, I think we are one good receiver away for this offense to be set. Now, you guys, I think what we are arguing is you guys say, no, you don't need a good receiver. You need a superstar receiver, right? And what I'm saying is, no, if I can draft a guy tomorrow or on draft day, right? And he becomes Justin Jefferson, which is the 21st pick, I think it was, a couple of years back. Obviously, you take that, right? But what I'm saying is, if you can get this offense right now can get away with one good receiver, and then Lamar has to elevate him, right? And then you have Zay Flowers, in my opinion, a type of possession receiver, which Flacco had with Bolden. Like, if you can get me a young Anquan Bolden to this offense, that would be great. That
Anquan Bolden was one of the top wide receivers, though.
He wasn't a possession receiver. He
became a possession. No, when he came to Baltimore, because he was way more versatile when he was with the Cardinals. Maybe because he had Fitzgerald on the other side. He came to Baltimore.
No, he was that guy before Fitzgerald.
My point to you, yes, I'm not disputing that he was good. I'm just saying, when you have another guy like T. Higgins right now, we'll see what T. Higgins leaves the Cincinnati, not having the Jamar Chase. We see whatever he becomes, right? Bolden for us was amazing, right? Yeah. My point is, we need that guy. What Flacco did was he saw Bolden. He was there, one-on-one, and he can get the ball, right? Because he was bigger, he will box people out, he will high point the ball. We don't have that, right? I will grant you we don't have that. And that's the type of receiver I will prefer, that if it is a 3rd and 6, and we see his man in a blitz, right? We can just isolate this receiver, which is what Flacco used to do. Flacco didn't do anything special. Flacco just threw it to the area around the first round on the sticks, and Bolden went and get the ball. I don't think Stephon Diggs is that guy. I think D-Hop can be that guy, and that's why I think that's the type of receiver we need to basically go full circle on this offense. Now, you have 2 really good tight ends. You have a guy and Zay Flowers that can, on the open field, be a problem, right? And then you have a guy that if you go one-on-one, most corners are not big enough that he can go get that guy.
Do you have 2 really good tight ends?
In my opinion, we do. I didn't say elite.
No, but I think, and this is nothing against you, say, but this is something I noticed with Ravens fans a lot, and not just Ravens fans, but
I think Mark Andrews,
Ravens fans, where they take a little bit of production and then project a whole lot more.
Well, I think Mark Andrews is, in my opinion, a top 5 tight end in the league. And then likely when Mark Andrews is not here, he plays as a good tight end. Not even calling him elite, It's a good tight end, right? Definitely a tight end that starts basically in every team minus like 3 or 4. That's what likely is, right? And then he's your tight end 2. He's not even your tight end 1. He's your tight end 2, right? So, which is great because then Andrews can take plays off, then likely can come and so on, right?
I can't agree that he starts on almost every team. I don't think so.
I think he starts in
Not
most
every team. I mean,
I said most team.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a lot of teams he could start for. But okay, no, the thing is, we're sitting here going into year 7 with Lamar Jackson, and we're still saying, we could just get him a big body wide receiver. If we get him this style of wide receiver, every year when we don't get a talented wide receiver, we make excuses about he's not the right fit. If we get this guy instead, that would be better. But then we don't get him. How much longer are we going to waste of his career not getting him the help that he needs, saying, well, this guy is coming, or we can do it in the draft, or maybe we could trade for this guy, or this guy will be a free agent next year, and then we don't get him. Like, okay, if you don't think Stephon Diggs is the ideal wide receiver, I know he's better than Rashad Bateman. I know he's better than Nelson Aguilar. He's better than Zay Flowers. So there's an upgrade in talent. He may not be ideal, but he damn sure can help.
He's not that he can't help, right? Like I said, would I do this deal? Yes. I don't think Stephon Diggs would approve that deal. I don't think Stephon Diggs, especially if it was a 1-year prove me and nobody has to pay him, he wants to go to a passing offense. And he saw you just sign Henry, and you see Houston, there's going to be just basically an open passing offense, right? So I don't think he comes here. Like, realistically, I think the Ravens could offer them the same thing, right? Actually, the Ravens could offer him, I'll give you the 2nd-round pick this year instead of next year. And I don't think Stephon Diggs would just come here.
He wouldn't have any choice to come there.
No, that's not true, because players, how the NFL has moved with the players being empowered, not that I have any against that, is the players dictate a lot, right? And if he's gonna move, if he comes to me and say, like, if you trade for me, I'm not gonna play. I'm just gonna sit up. I have money. I can sit down, right? So the Ravens were really gonna bring Stephon Diggs to be that problem. That's what happened with Terrell Owens. Remember when we traded for Terrell Owens? Still,
that was decades ago, bro.
I know.
I don't agree that Diggs would have said. We were just in the AFC Championship game. Like, he wants to win.
Yeah, but he also is looking to get paid, right?
As a top wide receiver, he's going to get paid. Like, he's not going to, like,
he doesn't have
to worry about that.
No, because he's on the other side of 30. And if he comes here and he puts a season, let's say we distribute the ball. Mark gets 500 yards, Zay gets 500, 600 yards, Stephon gets 500 or 600 yards, right? And then he goes to free agency. People are going to look at him like...
why are you married to this offense that can't put up points? That's where the disconnect.
No. Do you have a disconnect with me that you think you have to have a guy that is 1,400 yards so you can win? I'm okay with guys having 10 guys that give me 400 and we score points.
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying you have to have that.
No, but that's what you're asking, right? Like,
you're saying that he comes here and he's going to get 500, he'll get 600, he'll get 500.
I'm just saying how this offense is, but that's
what I'm asking. But that's what
no. You're saying how you're married to this offense that doesn't score.
Wait, hold on,
they don't score. They don't.
Hold on. Let's finish.
Playoffs, they don't.
Wait, let Sonny finish. Let's finish this point.
Not in the playoffs. Now you put the caveat. I'm just saying throughout the regular
that's
season.
What matters. The regular season doesn't matter.
Got it.
Wait, hold on, B. Let me finish this thought.
That's what matters. That's what matters. What we do, right? We want to win the Super Bowl. But I'm just saying, in the case of Stephon Diggs, he's also looking, look, I need to be productive. I need to win so I can get the payday and win. Houston just made it to the playoffs. They won the division. A division that is way easier. A defensive side in that division that is way easier, right? So I had easier corners, right? I don't have to worry. I still have a good quarterback and an offense that is more pass happy, right? In the case, what I'm saying is I'm okay with 5-6 receivers that make 400 or 500 yards. I don't care necessarily about the number because all I care is about the team. All I care is for us to win. Lamar throws for 10,000 yards. Lamar throws for 3,500 yards. Henry runs for 2,000 yards. Henry runs for 500 yards. Can we win? At the end of the day, yes,
That's
can we
fine,
win?
but
I
there's no
don't need
reason that he can't be productive. Is what I'm
but
saying.
I'm not saying that he's not productive in this offense. I'm just saying he will come down more to the rest of the guys because in this offense, what it has happened in the past 2 years is even last year with Monken, it was more equally distributed. Actually, they tried to force feed Say sometimes, they try to force feed Odell sometimes, but overall, it's a more distributed offense, right? And I think what Diggs wants is more pass me, yeah, which I don't know if he's gonna get that in Houston, but it's like I'm the guy, give me the ball. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know if Diggs would have come here because
But
of
what
that.
I'm saying to you say is there's no reason to stick to the offense as it is right now. If you they can go out and they can distribute targets evenly, and they can not throw the ball more than in anybody else in the league. They could be at the bottom in pass attempts right now because they don't have any talent in that room.
Well,
That's
okay.
the thing. If you bring in Stephon Diggs, you can throw the ball more. You don't have to stay with the same distribution that you have right now.
Wait. So, Sonny, what you're saying, it could be true. It could be. I don't like to argue those type of scenarios where you're saying, well, Diggs wouldn't want to play here because we're arguing something that we have
We don't
no
know. I
idea,
agree. I agree.
right? And as a GM, Eric DaCosta, that's not how you're supposed to operate, right? Like, oh well, he wouldn't want to play here, so we're not going to go and make an offer. We're not going to go kick the tires. We're not going to go and do our due diligence and find out
But we don't
if he
know
wants to
if he
play
kicked
here.
the tires, right? That also we don't know, right? We don't. It could have been that we offered the same thing to Buffalo, right? And then Buffalo said to Diggs, "Okay, I had these two offers. Where you want to go?"
But I still then we're talking about somebody who gets a lot of credit. I don't give Eric DaCosta that kind
Well,
of
you know,
credit
I don't give
because
him that much credit either.
right. He always strikes out on offense, right? Like at some point, if it's in a vacuum, okay, you can't always get your guy. Fine, I understand. But every year we don't get it on offense. Defense, we always hit. Offense, we never hit. And at some point, that's not a good enough excuse. You're not trying hard enough. At some
Yeah.
point, you
So
have to make
we
things happen.
So we have a problem in the Ravens. We have a couple problems here, right? We have whoever the scouting department is for receivers is trash. We need to figure out how to move away from that. Whoever the
It was
scouting
Joe Horowitz.
department,
So he went to the Chargers, I think.
but I don't. Was he in charge of the receiving side? I know he was
He's the lead
deputy.
scout. The lead
Right.
scout, right?
And then whoever's in charge of the outside backers, also trash. Get him out. Neither of these two teams, neither of these two lead scouters can scout. Don't need him in my life. Move him away, right? We do have an issue. We cannot figure out how to hit on the top receivers. What they have been doing now is, right, again, I think they picked the wrong guy in the case of OBJ. I would have gone with Hopkins. Whatever. They said, Lamar, here's your guy. If you hear what they're talking about is they're saying to Lamar, let me know which of these guys is best for you. What I personally don't like that. I think Lamar should have some sort of input. I feel like they're trying to appease him so much that they're going to try to draft whoever he wants. I think, in my opinion, should be more a decision of Monken, right? The offense that he wants to build. Because he is, at the end of the day, the coordinator, the person that's calling the pass. But look, if that's what they want to do, basically say, Lamar, you tell us who you want us to draft, we'll get it. Fine, that's what they did with Say Flowers, right? Lamar likes Say Flowers, they wouldn't get him, right? Lamar looks to me, in my opinion, because everything that has come out of Lamar is short, fast guys. If we go and draft another short, fast guy, I might lose my mind. But
what if he's really good?
okay.
I don't care if as long as he can play.
Look, I agree. I'm still gonna hate it. I'm still gonna hate it. And when he's productive, then I'll be like, you know what? Fine. Last year, like I said, I went through the scouting process that I have, wanting a big, tall guy. And then I did the scouting. I'm like, all these tall guys are shit. The guy that I actually like, Say Flowers, Tank Dell, and the guy that went to the Colts from North Carolina.
Who was that?
Josh Downs.
Downs, thank you.
Oh,
And
Downs, yeah.
And I said, like, if you have Johnston's body with Say Flowers' tenacity and play, this will be an elite receiver, but you don't, right? But yeah, I do think we need to get a receiver that can go get it. Like that, in my opinion, that's what the offense is missing. Obviously, a right tackle. You need to figure out a tackle. That's even more important than a receiver. I love Coleman. That's my favorite receiver this year. I think he is the type of guy that can be a difference maker. He can be wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 1 / right Zay. I don't get that hung on the titles, to be honest. I can get 2 guys to get 750, 800 yards, and I'm fine with it. With Mark Andrew getting 6 and the other guys get sprinkling whatever yards. But I think he will be a difference maker, especially in the red zone. But we need to get the right tackle.
Yeah.
If this is a good draft, in my opinion, if somehow you can trade back with the Commanders, even the Panthers, I don't know, somebody that wants to get back to the late first and wants to trade their 2 seconds, and you give them your third, right? So you give them your third.
No. He said Panthers decline.
That's fine. But let's say the Mandos wants to trade up to 30th because they're getting whoever, and we can get their 2 seconds, and we give them their third, right? So they're not losing picks per se. It's a shift of position. They might want that 5th year option, whatever. Then you go, because it's a 2 high 2s, and get your receiver and your tackle, right? Because I think that's what you're missing. And then you figure out the rest, right? Because do we need a depth in corner? Yes, we do need depth in corner. Ideally, you need also a left tackle. But if Stanley's here, at least you have your starter. You can work. If not, next year you come and get your tackle. Running backs, you have your in my opinion, your receiving group will be strong. Well, depending on the receiver, right? But your tight ends are strong. Your O-line, in my opinion, will be strong. Like I said, I think they're good with what they have in guard position. In the guard, the people that they have. Time will tell, right? Time will tell if they're good or not, right? And then on the defensive side, God help us with edge, because we can't seem to draft that position either. But other than edge, we should be good on the rest of the defense. So really our 2 major holes are right tackle and receiver, right? Those are, in my opinion, our 2 major holes. And luckily or planned, those are the 2 strongest positions in this year's draft.
All right, so Sonny, we got to wrap this up soon. Yeah. But I want to kind of finish on this, right? Because you're talking about the draft and how we can use the draft to fill the holes. Like, EDC, like how do you feel he's done with his draft classes since he's taken over?
Okay, he's done okay. Not great, not bad. He we talk about the Hollywood Brown. That was his first draft.
Yes.
I hated the Hollywood Brown pick, but he turned into another first-round pick, so it was a wash, right? After that, he took Pat Queen. Pat Queen was okay at best, right? I think the best thing that Pat Queen had was Roquan Smith. That hopefully he learned on the Roquan, and then he's going to have a career that we'll see. After that, what was after that? There's Bateman one, right? Obviously, Bateman's not a first-round worthy pick.
Owe and Bateman, yeah.
Yeah, Owe I hate. I love Bateman and I hated Owe, right? Like, how can you grab a pass rusher with no production? So he definitely is in love with the numbers on speed. Like that's BS. You give me production any day of the week, right? So overall, like, there's some good. Matabike was a good pick, right? In my opinion, Travis Jones has been a good pick. Steven was on their hand. I like that pick when that happened. J.K. Dobbins was a good pick. He got hurt, but he wasn't hurt necessarily in college, so I can't blame him for that. Mark Andrews was the last pick of Aussie. Mm-hmm. So he's done okay. I feel like he's done better than what Aussie did in the earlier rounds. But in my opinion, Austin did better in the later rounds, which created a lot of good depth. Our depth is okay.
But, like that reason that you said right there is why I don't feel comfortable just trying to go into the draft and fill holes, especially trading back, right? Like, I don't like.
That's fair.
We don't hit on second round pick at all, whether it's Ozzy or EDC. We don't hit on second round picks.
Yeah.
So I have no interest in holding on to the second round pick. I would easily give that up and move up in the draft. This is a year we're coming off the AFC Championship game, and there has to be a sense of urgency. Like I heard them in their little presser or whatever talking about, this draft and next year's draft, how they're gonna kind of, fill their depth. So I don't even think they're even looking at this year as a year that they're gonna really compete for a Super Bowl. Like they're saying that, but I don't think their actions don't speak to it. I think this is kind of a reset year. But when you have a guy that doesn't draft particularly well, I'm not hanging my hat on that. Get some, yes, I rather go with the veterans that we know can play than try to, spend 3 or 4 years on guys that we hope step up in that last year. Because there's another thing that we do. We get somebody like Ben Cleveland. I remember when Ben Cleveland was drafted. Oh, look, he'll be our starting left guard right away, right? And he's buried in the depth chart because he can't get out there. And maybe this year he steps up and plays well. And if he does play well, we're not going to want to pay him because he only did it for 1 year, right? Same thing that happened to Ben Powers, right? Like it's something that we always do. We get these guys and they can't contribute right away like we wanted them to, and it's we give them time, and then finally if they break out and have a good year, we can't pay for that. It's only 1 year.
You're correct, but we have been doing a good job so far on the guard positions. On every time somebody leaves, somebody comes in and has the same amount of play as good as they were before.
Those are guys from outside the organization, though.
Yeah. No, Powers was here.
Powers was there. John Simpson was not. Kevin Zeitler was not.
That was the only one. And Zeitler resigned, right? Because when Yanda left, we didn't have the depth on guards, right? So we signed him, right? Before Powers, there was another guy that also left. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, we have been doing we're gonna a third round pick.
You're talking about Bozeman. You're talking about Bradley Bozeman.
Bozeman was another guy that was here, and he played well for us, and then we let him go. Right?
But last year, he was a backup before that.
Exactly, because all these guys are mid-round guys, and basically you're saying mid-round guys, they're mid-round for a reason, and then they build. See, one problem that I have with Ravens fans is we draft a guy in the third or fourth round or fifth round for whatever that matters is, and people think this guy is gonna kill it year one. I'm like, so why was he in the first round? What is this person?
Yeah, that's the third or fourth
or fifth. Yeah, that's what we're talking about with Voorhees and Salah.
Yeah, but in the case, no. But there's difference when you then go for second, third, fourth, fifth year guy, right? Because the idea is, in my opinion, you take a third, fourth, fifth round guy, you put in the organization so he can learn, because you see there's holes in his game, and then you see if the next year he can play, right? So in the case of Cleveland, he should be mature now to win the starting job. If he's not going to win it this year, he should be out of the league because there's no, what is he doing, right? That's the case of Cleveland. When I talked to you about Voorhees, I said Voorhees is part of the competition. I'm not even penciling him in. He is part of the competition. I said, and at worst, I have a guy, again, good old Macari, that has played left guard, and he has done it in a good level. The thing is, they don't want to have him as a guard because he's also your backup tackle. Right. So they have solutions at guard. Now, should they go get a guard in the draft? Dude, I'm a big. Go get all the fat guys. Go get them all. Let's build this whole line. Right. But my opinion, I would not be surprised if this draft they double up on tackles, they double up on receivers. They should double up on both. Both positions should get two picks, and then you fill up the rest, right? If you can get a decent corner in third or fourth round that you can build, look at Stevens. Stevens is another guy. We drafted him, and he has gone, and now last year he looked really good. And then, right, but we put him a couple times in his first year, he looked terrible. Second year, he looked bad, right? And he learned. Same thing for Anthony Averett. If you think about Averett, people kill him. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He's a third, fourth round pick. It's a reason why he was there. You have to let these guys develop. It's a different story with your first round pick. That guy should be contributing faster.
Yes.
But a third, fourth round pick, you need to let them develop. Anyway, let me wrap up. I think this first and second round has to be a tackle and receiver, right? I think that is what we're going to get. And then we're going to go from there.
All right, man, Sonny, it's always great chopping it up with you.
I love
man.
talking to y'all, man. I love talking to y'all,
man. And you know, like we tell people, man, we really appreciate Sonny, man. He's one of the first people. He's the first person to give us a shout out when we got into the podcast game. We weren't even on YouTube yet,
Yes.
you know. And Sonny was
you guys are
shouting
great,
us out.
man.
Man, thank you. I appreciate that, man. But let the people know. Reintroduce yourself. You just came back from across the pond, man. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so SCG Sports for me for everything. We also do live streaming on the AFC North Talk. I'm the Ravens representative, but AFC North or SCG Sports, Twitter, YouTube. And you know, I like to interact with fans. I love debating. So what you're gonna get from me is always honesty, right? Like what I think. I'm not saying that I'm always right, but I'm gonna talk like I am. And we're gonna have fun with it. And I appreciate what you guys do because you do the same thing. One last thing with DaCosta, the first thing DaCosta did that I hated, that I was mad, and people criticized me for saying this, was the Orlando Brown Jr. trade. Not because they traded him, because I remember talking to Raven the year before, we're gonna trade him next year because he wants to be a left tackle and he can be a left tackle on this team. It's for the amount that we traded. The young tackle for equivalent of a third round. And at that point, and at that point, I was like, "What the f are we doing? What are you doing, EDC?" That was my first come to the moment with EDC, and I always say people in Baltimore think he is the best GM. I don't think he's trash. I think he's good, but he's not elite level. Like people put him in like, oh, this is like the greatest thing at GM. I think he's good, but not that guy.
All right, hang tight real quick, Sonny. Do you want to do the trivia real quick? Let's put out the trivia. All right, and then we'll get out here because this is for points.
Okay, so we'll do the trivia real quick. For those that don't know, this past weekend was WrestleMania 40. Okay, so if you're not a wrestling fan, or maybe you kind of fell off of it or whatever, they've kind of brought it back. It's a high quality product again. Roman Reigns was the champion. He lost his belt, but he's part of one of the legendary wrestling family, the Anoa'i, right? He, like a lot of them, like The Rock and a lot of the others, played football and wasn't particularly good at football. And so then let me go into the family business. Right. He played defensive end. And so the trivia question that I have for y'all is, well, I mean, it's not even a question. It's a true or false. True or false, Roman Reigns had more tackles for loss, and sacks in college than Odafe Owe.
More. There's no way. Owe was. I don't want to disrespect him.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You're allowed to participate too. All right. This is true or false. So I mean, we need max participation in the chat here. This is for points. Okay, the first three that get it right get points. So is that why that's his finishing move, that he does like a spear because he played football?
I mean, I would assume so. He's a real big dude. That works for the big guys a lot. Because his other thing is the Superman punch.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah. All right. Do we have the right answers?
Let's see.
There's a lot of truths, is what I see.
It's all true.
There's no way it can be false.
You also haters in here.
Sonny, while you're here, can you bring up that chart, that the good news chart, B? I want to get your opinion on this.
Let me
see
if we have it here.
I haven't seen that chart.
Yeah, hang on, give me 1 second here. I'm just gonna have to put it on the screen here. It's gonna cover the screen, but this is a if you see that, sorry. This is
I see it. You can leave it. You can block it if you want.
So this is a kind of a prediction for the pass protection for next year based off of the projected starters for every O-line. And what we were talking about is, you see here at number 4, the Baltimore Ravens.
For next year.
Yes, they're projected, or this side of this guy has them projected as the 4th best pass blocking O-line with Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Tyler Linderbaum, Ben Cleveland, and Pat McCarry as the starters.
How Ben Cleveland's 92 and Linderbaum is 85?
Hey, I got a record. How is he 92 and Ronnie Stanley's 91 and Linderbaum 85?
And who was right tackle?
McCarry. have McCarty.
Okay. 76 sounds about right for McCarty. Yeah, look, the other thing that we don't talk enough is there's a lot of bad O-line in this league. There is a lot of bad O-line.
It's very
in this
hard.
league.
Yes. It's
and
hard
then
to come by.
Lamar, in our case, Lamar does something that is not talked enough. It goes both ways. Lamar also has them get into some sacks because he runs to sacks sometimes, holding the ball a little bit too long, but he also has preventing a lot of sacks. So it goes both ways, but he definitely helps the O-line more than he hurts the O-line.
Yeah. All right, we got our answers, B?
We got a couple right answers.
Okay. All right.
Is it false?
So it is false. I mean, like, so it has to be right because 30 people put true in there. I didn't say we got it yet. So Odafe Owe had a total of 63 tackles, 13 and a half tackles for loss, and 7 sacks across his 3 years. That was about
How he was
across 20 games, right? Roman Reigns, he played at Georgia Tech for a couple of years. He played 25 games. He had 65 tackles, so he had more tackles. 14 and a half tackles for loss, so more, but only 6.5 sacks. So he came up a half sack short.
He could have been a first rounder if he just waited a little bit longer.
if only Eric had a job back in the early 2000s.
We could have. Because for all the crap that I want to talk about Bateman, at least Bateman has some sort of production. Although Odafe Owe in the rookie year, he has some flash. We could have Creed Humphrey as a center.
Yeah, we needed
that year. That year. And then with Linderbaum's pick, we go and get AJ Brown.
Yeah.
That's like in an alternate universe that's happening.
Or you could have just not taken the job and got George Pickens.
That's the following draft. You're right, but I'm trying to figure out what can we have done instead of picking. And look, Pickens is good, definitely better than a lot of players we have. We'll see where he lands. Pickens is very one-dimensional, but he is tall and he can go get the ball, which is what, in my opinion, we need.
He's like they used to say about Deshaun Jackson, right? They say he's a one-trick pony, but it's a damn good trick.
Fair. I think Deshaun had a longer career. We'll see with Pickens. It's still like think about what the Claypool, which I did not like out of the draft, and people are like, you see, you talk so much shit about Claypool and look how good he was as a rookie, and then I started eating crow, and then next year
hated when that happens, right?
Yeah, I was like, I hate this guy. I wouldn't want to draft this guy.
Then you have to eat crow on eating crow.
No, and then he was good, and then the AFC North talking, they were like, you see, you talk all this shit. Although the Steelers guy Tony, he also hated Claypool coming out of the draft. But then because the problem with Claypool is he's big for no reason. It's a phrase that I have. You're big for no reason. Why are you big for? You play like the little guy. Why are you big for?
I would pay good money to see you ask any one of these guys, why are you big for?
Yeah, why are you big for? Big for no reason. Why, as a receiver, when you're big, you let everything come into your chest? Why are you not extending your hands, using your length?
And I think he would have been okay, but his head isn't on straight either.
No, which with Pickens, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. He also is flirting with maybe it's a Steelers. They make something over there. Anyway, guys, I know you have to go. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Sonny, man, appreciate you. Patreon members, get ready. The overtime show is going to start in a minute. B, you ready?
Yes, ready.
He is ready. Everybody have a great night. We will see you next time. Peace.